We are live.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Town of East Hampton Architectural Review Board meeting of today's date, which is January 28th, 2021. I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting and also open the meeting with the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was January 14th, 2021. Can I get a second on the minutes, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll start off with agricultural overlay, 55 Wayne Scott Hollow LLC, tax map number 300-196-1-21, 49 Wayne Scott Hollow Road in Wayne Scott. Michael, there should be a few people possibly on hold to join us on the meeting.
Yes, I believe they're on Zoom. Mary Jane, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon.
Hi, Mary Jane.
Hi. I believe at the last hearing that you had asked for computer-generated elevations for all four sides of the building, including the missing elevation, which was the garage side. And you had also asked for computer-generated elevations on the pool house, all four sides, particularly because the side that was facing toward the house, and it's marked clearly that is a glass door, and you wanted the plans to be augmented to show what the layout was. And I believe that was submitted prior, actually in December. So hopefully you have that and have had an opportunity to review it.
Yes, thank you. We did receive everything and I was able to review it. Thank you, Mary Jane.
And also both Jeffrey Collet and Laura Hamlichik, who know the particulars, are available and they may not, they're here, present, so.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was able to review everything. I was able to also compare the elevations that we had with these renderings and all checked out. So it's definitely a much tighter presentation than we had in the beginning. So I think we have all.
Third time's a charm. I apologize again for the fact that it's taken this long. I know that your agenda is long and we've been here now multiple times. So I really appreciate the fact that, that you've been patient with us.
Good things take time. Sometimes. Again, this was an application for a single family residence with a pool and a pool house. And so, as you said, we did get the new renderings. This is the front facade, which faces north. And you can also see to each side, well, on this side, on the right side, you see the fencing, which actually was a question that I had for you with regard to the fencing. But let's just keep looking through.
Yeah, let's go through all of them and then we'll come back to each item that we still have questions on.
So this actually, that's interesting. That's an old rendering, Derek. Not sure, because what I have in my hands includes the lighting on either side.
We submitted updated that shows the lighting, because not the previous meeting actually had lighting that's on either side of the house, and the update has that as well.
Yes, it's 1217 instead of this, which is 1202.
All right, hold on 1 second. Let me try to pull it up. My Adobe is
able to
right now.
Okay.
Bear with me.
Thank you. But as I said, all of the elevations that we had, the plans checked out perfectly with what was submitted in the renderings. Let's see what else. Well, once Derek pulls up.
Let me ask you this, Esperanza.
Yes.
The elevations, we received elevations in addition to the full set of color renderings, correct?
Well, we had elevations, I believe, already. And what we were asking was to have full color renderings of all of the different facades, so because I think we only had
Right.
say front and
So
rear.
at this point, though, the elevations that we have are correct, as well as the
Yes.
color renderings. Okay.
Yes, from what I've been able to see, yes.
Right. So with and it has the pool house, everything's in there as tight as we can, right? Okay.
You had all the black and white renderings, and which is it's a submission requirement actually for the ARB. And I have noted, even though it's the problem is that the computer renderings didn't have all 4 elevations,
Right.
and we were missing one. So
Okay.
Yeah, and there have been, various changes, so it was getting a little difficult to keep track of everything with renderings and elevations and so forth.
The only reason why I'm asking is because if we're able to move this forward, I just want to make sure that for the files and for the resolution, that everything that we have to date is up to date and accurate, and we're not, mixing old files with new files. And like
I
that.
a whole
believe,
new set of everything was submitted for the in December. With the lights and everything else, where literally the line drawings match the computer renderings.
Okay.
The last submission, in fact, and you were correct, and we went through so that it wasn't like a piecemeal where take this page out.
Right.
What was submitted was a full packet with the computer renderings and the line renderings matching, and that was submitted, in December at the very last week, and obviously we're here today, so. You don't, it's not like, you have piecemeal at this juncture.
No, I understand. I just wanted to confirm that with Esperanza when she was reviewing the.
Oh, no. I'm, as I said, I'm just confirming to you, yes, because it was very confusing. And I agree with you that it was helter-skelter. But at this point, I believe that a full revised correct set has been submitted on both parts. So.
All right. So we'll look at the last submit in December for the elevations, and we'll use this last submit for the color renderings for that purpose that came in January. Okay. So Esperanza, let's go through this.
okay, so definitely thank you, Derek, for pulling this up. So you see here, this is the front facade with the lighting, and we can just go through them. This is from the view from the east.
Right. And also shows the fencing on the other side as well.
Correct, yes. I think this is just the front door, straight on. You can even go through them like that, Derek. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah. There you have the fencing and the garage, which we weren't able to see before. So that's great. I did want to just point out to you, Mary Jane, just for your records.
Yes.
If you notice, I think it's where there's supposed to be like a trash area there behind that fence and between.
Yes, there's like a bin area.
It looks like a shower enclosure. And I know that that's not what's supposed to be there, if I'm not mistaken. Do you see that tall wall
Behind the fence, the gate.
behind the fence?
Now that you mention it, I can, it's lighter in shade.
Yes. I just wanted
Laura,
to make
are you
sure.
there?
Yes, I am.
Is that the trash enclosure?
That is
or
that is the trash enclosure. It's not a shower.
Right. Is it that tall? Because on
No.
there it's like that, but on another rendering it's not. So
No, it is not that tall.
thank you. That's what I wanted to point out, just so you
Okay.
knew for your.
So would it be no taller than the height of the fencing?
Correct.
It's on another drawing, actually, too.
Yeah, I think so. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that I don't want it to become an issue when whoever goes out to review it, if they happen to look at this or something. Anyway, go on, Derek, unless there's anything else. So this is the view to the rear of the house. And just to point out, like the original submission, the terrace, I believe, was a little longer. So this is the rear of the house. Point out. Sorry, I had a feedback there. So I think this is a cleaner, nicer presentation of that. It does expose the window on the right a little more, but that's if nobody else thinks that's a problem, that's fine. I think everything looks really good.
I do too.
Is it really this color, or is it going to be that red cedar shingle color?
It's a white.
It's going to be, is we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Yeah, no, it's going to be white cedar So it's gonna
Yeah.
silver out like the old houses in Wayne State.
Got it. Okay, I know white cedar. Got it.
Was that Jeff?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Place looks beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Looks,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
the tweaks that we, worked on, I think when we worked on it together and, you were able to understand what we were asking, I think it was a nice compromise and I think it presents very nicely.
We agree with you.
Well, we do, and I'll tell you,
the feedback that we got.
honestly, at the end of the day, it's a better house. Honestly.
Great.
Thanks. That's good. I'm glad that happened that way for the property owner. Because I think that
Absolutely.
she's probably happier with this as well. So
Yeah, very much so.
let's talk about the fencing so we can get all of this. Basically, let me just say this before we move on. Any type of fencing, regardless of the height, because these are ag properties, ARB needs to, make approval for them in their resolution. So any type of gates and fencing, if you would like to go through all that with us now, that would be great. If you
Sure.
could do that presentation.
Absolutely.
So please go ahead.
Well, are you saying that you want more than what's noted here?
No, I wanted to know what the specifications, I know that it's indicated on the survey that there are fences on either side, as we see here in this rendering.
Jeffrey, what materials are going to be your
Yeah.
fencing? And obviously it's to meet the safety code and pool enclosure. So, what is the materials for this fencing, Jeffrey?
Cedar,
And what height?
4 feet,
4 feet, okay?
Okay.
correct.
And the design is basically what we're seeing, it with the vertical slats.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, no posts, no pillars. Let me ask this, is there going to be any fencing along the sides of the property and or the back?
Apart from a pool fence?
Most of it, yeah, it's gonna, what we're doing is wire inside of like privet,
And how tall will that be?
4 feet.
Okay.
Right answer.
Yeah,
And
well,
what
that's what
about-
we
and
like-
are there any-
that's what we like to use because it's what they, it's what the code wants.
No, I know.
And we don't
But
want to,
we need to
this
know
big
because
stupid fence.
sometimes people, put, 8-foot deer fencing. So we need to know what we're approving.
No.
The other question I have, is there any plan for a driveway gate?
I do
Yes.
see one.
Yeah, it's on the plan.
Can we see that, please? Do we have a design?
Well, no, I'm sorry, we don't have the rendering for that. But it's going to be similar to the fence.
Well, the problem with the similar to the fence is that that's very much of a tightly built panels, so that doesn't allow for any space.
Oh, I'm
between.
sorry, I misspoke. No, I apologize. Laura just pointed out the fence. I'm incorrect. No, it's going to be like a 2x2 square with vertical, horizontal, like a typical gate, but the slats or the spindles are going to be a 2x2 square cedar.
Okay, let me ask you this.
And what's the spacing?
What is the proposed height of the gate?
4 feet.
Okay. We will need to see a rendering of the design.
Not a problem.
And let me ask you this, Esperanza, would you be okay if we were to have them submit that to us? And just say, in the resolution, that the driveway gate is not included until it's submitted?
Great.
I would actually encourage no driveway gate, but that's, so.
Well, I would encourage that too, because I get concerned since that street is not a through street. What would be the need for a driveway gate?
Precisely.
Well, it won't be, it's not going to be visible from Wainscott Hollow Road.
No, but it'll be visible to the other people that live on the street. And so each of those properties, are they going to have gates? Like, is every house going to
I
have a
can't
gate?
tell you that because they're not, that no one's built, we're not building anything on them
Right,
yet.
I understand that. So
I'm just
that's-
asking that as a matter of just keeping things a little more open. And since you are obviously by code, need to have the pool fencing, that's understandable. I would just encourage not having the driveway gate it's not a necessity for that area. And it's not something that is really prevalent in that area.
What we can do, if this is a compromise that you would be happy with, we can bring the gate in from the street like 15, 18 feet.
All right, well, here's the thing, because I don't want to get into something that we can't make a decision on without actually seeing what the design of the gate is.
Okay.
So David, and also Nancy Lynn, can you give us some guidance? I think, we can put the vote forward to the board with regards to the house and all of the elevations, as well as the gate and fencing on the plane of the house and the 4-foot wire fencing in the back for the pool. But I don't want to include any kind of front driveway gate in this resolution. What would be your recommendation how we deal with this?
So the your concern about it coming back, I mean, it obviously from height wise, it wouldn't come in as just a gate requiring ARB approval. You're saying that it comes in still under the auspices of at being an ag overlay.
Right, because anything over ground, even if it's a 2-foot
Right.
gate, we still have,
Yeah, you have
Jeffrey?
that.
Yes.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Jeffrey, since the board is inclined to approve the house and the pool house and the scape, why don't we discuss it? Why don't we discuss the driveway gate? And if you're going to submit it, you will submit it as a separate application. Okay?
Absolutely.
Or you can submit it as a modification to the application.
Exactly.
Yes, all right, because rather than
Right.
belabor this,
Right.
because I actually have some suggestions that I want to discuss with you, and I don't want to take up the board's time.
Right,
Okay.
okay, so let's do
Fine
that.
with me.
I'd
So,
like to say something about the gate.
yes, Jonathan.
The pool fence itself is a solid 4-foot fence that goes around the pool. The other fence, which is completely in a hedge, which goes all the way around the property on the borderline of the property or just off the property line, that has a 4-foot fence in it that's a wire fence.
Right,
There's 2 fences. And one of them, if it's a hedge all the way around, that itself blocks all horizontal views across the farmland.
well, they're saying it's 4 feet.
The
With
hedge will
vegetation.
grow. The hedge will grow to 8 feet.
Correct. So you're going to lose the view is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
that's a good
it's
point.
not just to keep you guys on point, the fence is not the thing that's blocking the view, the hedge is, and the hedge is not within your purview.
But it's landscaping.
Right, but landscaping is not part of what ARB approves on an ag overlay.
Okay.
Okay, again, but can we encourage?
You can always encourage. Esperanza, encouragement is always appreciated. But just if
It's a double-edged sword here. This is what is the problem, all right? We're not in active agricultural production, so as you well know, the deer population in Wainscott as throughout the East End is explosive. And so it's a combination of the 4-foot fence is to meet, of course, the pool enclosure, and we are doing it by wire. But that fencing has to be sort of screened. And and the easiest way to do it is with hedging. Now, as noted, that hedging grows, as Mr. Foster noted. I mean, I'm not disputing that. But then if you just have the wire out there, it in and of itself, the deer jump that fence. So I understand it's a balancing here, and we will, as I said, I wanted to speak to Jeffrey off without all of you present about the various solutions we can do about you not wanting a driveway gate and how we ensure what this particular client wants and future clients want. But you have a big agenda. I think we should move forward with just the structures and buildings, and we would be coming back to you under any circumstances. And actually the tie-in for the fencing, I have to speak to Jeffrey about various things. So
Well, why don't we do this then, Mary Jane? Why don't we exclude all fencing and gates off of this?
well, we can't, we need the wire fencing approved today because I can't have a swimming pool without you approving the fence.
Well, that's not under our purview, I don't think.
So
It's,
No, the
it's
fences.
only under your purview as an ag overlay.
Ag
It's not under your
overlay, yeah.
purview as a fence.
Well, one of my recommendations would be if you do want to screen in the wire fencing, to move it closer to the pool area so that you have open space beyond, on your property, beyond whatever screening and wire fencing you use for the pool. I don't have a,
It is, Betsy, it is not right on the property line or anything like that. I can see it here. I
is
just,
there any way for us to see it as, on the screen from Derek, what you're looking
oh,
at?
sorry, I don't, no, sorry, I don't, I was looking at the wrong place. I don't know where that's supposed to be.
All right, let's see if we could figure this out.
I mean, we need pool fencing for the New York State and
I
local
understand,
code.
Mary
so.
Jane, come on, I understand that. I know you need pool fencing. We're just trying to figure out with you where you're placing that fencing and
In
how
fact,
you're
what
screening.
we're talking about, Derek, not the one that is signaled here. It's not
Oh.
located there. All I would,
It goes all, it goes,
It's perimeter fencing, I believe. Jeffrey, isn't it perimeter fencing?
Yeah, well, yeah, but the pool fence we're talking about only goes to the back of the pool house. It doesn't, it's not going to affect any views. There's some landscaping that goes up.
That's what I was questioning and suggesting, that it goes closer to the pool, that it's not back on the property line.
Well, they're going to want to have some type of hedging between the two properties.
no, we're
I
talking,
mean, it's not against the ag reserve.
We're talking about
No.
the back.
Oh,
What
no,
that
no, there's
faces
no-
the ag property.
Yeah. No, we're not going to, I don't see a fence going back there.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. Let's move forward with taking a vote on the residence and the accessory structures. And you can come back to us with your fencing plan, marked on a survey with the
Great.
type and materials and all the
Great.
heights, and we can
And
make
I'll do some renderings as well, so you can really see what it's going to look like.
Right. And then we can review that when you're all ready to go. And that's not going to affect you moving forward with starting to build this house or your pool.
Correct.
Thank you.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
So, Esperanza.
okay. So I make a motion to approve this application as recently submitted,
Okay. With the exception of
with
any,
the exception of any fencing
and gates.
and gates.
Excuse me, are you accepting the fencing that's on either side that's wood?
I would like to keep all of that in one container.
Okay, all right, I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, so no fencing is going to be on this application. It's only going to reference the plans for the residence and the accessory structures on the property. Okay, no fencing, no gates. Can I get a second, Diane?
Yes, second.
All in favor, Chip
Yes.
and Jonathan
yes.
and Betsy, yes. All right, congratulations, you're good to go.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you
weekend.
very, very much.
Bye-bye.
I really appreciate it. I enjoyed working with you on this. And as I said earlier, seriously, it's a better house. And I'm very, very glad that we got to this place.
All right.
Great.
Look, it's all, life is a learning curve, so.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank
good
you.
luck with your building, and
Thank you.
we'll look forward
Thank you
to
very
seeing
much.
you with the fences and the gates.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mary Jane and Laura.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too. Okay, 104 Main Street LLC, tax map number 300-200-2-24.8.
Sorry, excuse me, I have to get up for my huge packets. This application is before us again. It is for a single-family residence on Main Street, Wainscott, and the applicant has submitted, the architect and developer has submitted new renderings and elevations, renderings which are a little different from what we saw originally. However, I compared them with the previous elevations, and from what I could see, there's been no change with regard to the amount of fenestration on the structures.
Okay, let's see if we can get somebody up on board. Michael, do we have anybody? I think we saw, I saw Dan was in the waiting room.
Dan's there.
Yeah.
Dan, are you there?
I think they wanted to present to us, even, I don't know if necessary to share their screen.
Dan, can you speak?
Yep, we're here. We just don't have our video queued up, but we're here.
Are you able to hear us?
I guess not.
Hello, are you able to hear us?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Is that-
great. Yes.
Dan,
So
is
this
that Dan?
Good afternoon. This is Dan Scotty. I'm here. Dan Thorpe is with us as well from LaGuardia. We have Ray Renault, the architect that collaborated on the design of the home. And we have Brian DeSessa from Adam Miller's office. We're all in one location for efficiency.
Great, thank you.
Okay, great.
Social distancing, I hope.
Oh,
Yes.
yep.
All right.
Dan, back up.
Okay, as
I'm
for-
here as the landscape architect. I know that the board had some significant concerns with the sensitivity of the first landscape plan relative to the natural state of the previous gardens. So I'd like to speak on that for a second, if the board would allow.
Sure.
So Daniel Thorpe, landscape architect for the applicant. When we originally received the commission to work on the project, the timeline of submission to your board was moving quickly, and we probably moved a little too quickly in terms of doing our typical research and analysis of the existing site. So with that, we revisited the property and revisited our approach to the site design with a much better, I feel, a much better connection to the existing landscape and the surrounding context. A lot of what makes this particular property special is the reserve and was the natural feel of the pre-existing garden, the lack thereof of fertilized lawn and open green space. So what we did is we better mapped the existing vegetation along the boundaries, specifically the southern boundary, understanding that boundary line being full of healthy, large, mature evergreens was a very important part to providing screening from Wainscott, Maine. We also did a much better job of mapping, evaluating, and preserving as many of the old growth, large, mature, existing trees on the property that have been there for the better part of 50, 60 years, if not longer.
Actually, I'll interrupt you on that. That was a potato field, so those are probably not that old. In the 70s, it was a potato field.
Yeah, so whenever those if they were then transplanted to the property, they've been there and have established there and have become part of the fabric of that landscape over the past few decades.
Yes.
And I think the board's recent connection to that garden, the existing trees are a big part of. So in reevaluating the landscape plan, we now are preserving several of those large London plane trees, large cryptomerias. There's a wonderful copper beech on the property. It's massive, that we are now proposing to transplant as part of the future development plans, all to maintain that original fabric of the space and what makes the landscape special. So part of and I know some of the board's concerns rely or revolve around the southern exposure of the house towards the reserve. And so we are moving some of those existing London planes to help soften that facade with its relationship to the pond. So I thought that was worth mentioning. However, the biggest change and improvement that I believe we've made to the plan is the elimination of most of the lawn at the front and the back of the house. This is a 4-acre lot, so by eliminating over an acre of lawn and substituting it with native meadows, we've eliminated the need for fertilization. We've mitigated stormwater concerns. We've invited the reserve into the property through the use of native grasses that will now blend with the existing context of the reserve. We've loosened up the edges, given the edges a more organic shape, and we've done a much better job of honoring the existing contour and topography of the site, so that instead of working against what exists there, we're working with it. And that's what we should have been doing from the beginning. So really appreciated the board's comments at the last meeting. I think we've taken them and improved the plan greatly in response to them. And I hope you feel the same way.
Well, I really appreciate your sensitivity to that, because when we, this property had come before us briefly when it was with the other owners, and we were able to see the beautiful natural grasses that were there that I believe Edwina Von Gaal had worked with the owners over the years, and it was quite a stunning area.
Sure.
So I don't know if you were able to see photographs from before the demolition and how beautiful that was. And I
was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that you're going to try to replicate that.
Yeah, and I do know Edwina personally, and I feel like she'd be happier with the current state of the plan with a lot less lawn.
Well, great. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. So Esperanza, how would you like to start? Do you want to go through some of these photos, or do you want to?
Yeah, why don't we do that? As I said earlier, I didn't see, apart from the changes to the landscape plan, which did soften things up slightly. There wasn't any significant change, any at all, really, that I could note with the actual building. So if we look through the photographs, perhaps we can take a look at that. I don't know if everybody remembers what this was.
Let's go through it, because I have, one or two comments too after seeing the new plans.
And I appreciate that Dan's, Scotty, with the renderings, they did include some helpful aerial views as well. So we can really take a look at this whole.
Yeah, we thought the bird's eyes were very telling in terms of explaining the relationship of the house to the existing mature vegetation along the boundary line, but also to the reserve, and how we're now inviting the reserve into the property on the pond side. And you can now see that the proposed driveway winds through a very park-like meadow of native grasses, and there's almost no lawn.
Oh, God.
So on the right side of the screen, you can see the preservation of that dense evergreen border that faces Wainscott, Maine.
Mm-hmm. Is that existing there now?
That's existing, and it's substantial.
Right. And then when you drive in, and I don't know if you're relocating the road, but all those very large cryptomerias, are they stay in place? I'm just curious, or are you moving them around?
We're transplanting several, and removing a few. A bunch of them aren't actually on this property. It's a little misleading from this view, but a portion of those aren't even on our client's property. But we are saving the ones that are healthy and worth moving.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
As we go through this, Derek, you can keep going, but if any of the board members want Derek to stop at one particular site, and if they have a question or a comment, we'll entertain that as well.
So those old cedar trees that are there, they're right next to that little shed off the house there? Is that what those are?
Yeah. Yep. Those are, there's many cryptomerian cedars along the property lines that are going to be preserved. We're also transplanting in the footprint of the proposed house. There are 2 large old growth London plane trees that must be at least 50 feet tall with a canopy spread that's probably equal to that. And we're going to be moving them to the pond side of the new residence as a way to rejoin a few of the London planes that naturally exist there already, but also to soften the facade from the pond and the neighbor there off to the corner.
Excuse me. Did we lose Derek?
No, yeah.
No, that was the last of the aerial photos.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No, we want to go into the color renderings that were last submitted for this meeting. There you go. All right, so Derek, you could slowly go through these. And like I said, if anybody wants to stop at one and ask a question or make a comment, let's do that.
The prior renderings had a lot of lawn in the foreground, and since then we've now swapped that for this.
Yeah,
this
it's
native
remarkable. It's remarkable.
Huge improvement.
And so the trees, these low trees, create a veil in front of the house. And it's fortunate we have a client who's really embraced this idea of the native landscape.
Right. I think the materials on the house are beautiful.
And this is the reserve side. So they've taken the natural grasses from the reserve and jumped them into our client's landscape plan. And
you're not allowed to take them from the reserve.
A lot of it exists already on the property, and we're just leaving it.
I love the grass steps.
Yeah, we're trying to be understated on,
It's
very
so much better.
Is there more? Are there more pictures?
Yes, there are. There's some nighttime photographs or renderings.
Hold on 1 second, my Adobe is loading.
Okay. So Esperanza, as far as you could tell, and also maybe Dan Scotty, you could also chime in, the elevations that were originally submitted at our last meeting, none of those elevations have changed on the building, correct?
Not to my view.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to let Ray Renault, our architect, speak to that.
Okay.
We did not change any of the fenestration on the building. We actually didn't realize that that was one of the major issues, or one of the issues that was a concern. We felt that what we achieved from the last meeting was mostly to do with the landscape and essentially softening and bringing some of that reserve in, getting rid of a lot of the lawn. So our main focus was to reduce and buffer the house with landscaping.
Well, I feel, I'm disappointed that that's the only thing that was the takeaway from that meeting. That meeting, we spent a very long time going over how important the amount of light emitting from this very large structure is going to impact not only the agricultural land, but the view across from across the pond, as well as the neighboring properties.
We did reduce the amount of lighting on the project. In fact, we have some recessed lighting underneath those decks, those porches.
I'm not talking about exterior lighting, Dan. I'm talking about I'm sorry, who am I speaking with?
Ray Renault.
Ray, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the amount of light emitting. On the original color renderings that you submitted, it was more telling. On these new ones, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you turn the lights down inside. You know, but nothing's changed, you know? So when the lights are on in the house at night, this is going to create a tremendous amount of light emitting onto the neighborhood, you know, the neighbors on the other side, even though I know you have large trees there, but it also is going to, from across the pond. Go ahead, Esperanza.
No, I was just going to say that this faces south, so this will be very visible from the dune, from the ocean.
Right. Esperanza, can you instruct Derek about that one little house that you took a photograph of at dusk that we can pull up to make a point?
Yeah, Derek, you did receive those photographs that I sent to you of Osborne Farm Lane.
Hold on 1 second.
They were nighttime.
Yeah, it was like at dusk.
Go to the next one, please. No. I don't even remember what that was.
From Osborne Farm Lane?
Yes.
All right, hold on 1 second.
But
I had the good fortune of staying out relatively late since it gets dark still relatively early, and was at some of these properties or just milling around Wainscott at dusk and captured this.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
So this is actually pretty much opposite 104 Main Street.
Right.
If you were to look across the field, this is a home on Osborne Farm Lane, which has exterior lights. I mean, there was no one home. This is all just exterior lighting. So this is a separate point. But then in another one, Derek, if you will, that is on Osborne Farm Lane. In fact, it's a house that we recently reviewed, and you can see how much this glows in this picture, which is taken from the cemetery. It's really the historic heart of Wainscott. And I was aghast, honestly, to see this. So this is what we're describing to you, Ray and Dan and everyone, because it's a big concern to us that the more homes that go up that are contemporary and can have all this fenestration because of new technology, it's a problem.
And what I'd like to make a comment on, and this is most important, this is a very, very modest house. What you were seeing on the last photograph is going to be, with your proposal of this 18,000 square foot home, is going to be 20 times the size of what you're looking at here. And I'm not making that up. So that is why we are very concerned about the amount of glass, the amount of doors and windows that are going to emanate lighting throughout your property, onto other properties, and onto the pond. I'm disappointed that we're at this point where we're going to have to ask you. Now, we appreciate everything that you took to heart with regards to the landscaping, but also that this is problematic for us.
So one of the things I wanted to just point out is that we're using a glass that on the Fleetwood window package that has a very low light transmittance. And we'll be happy to provide a sample of that glass so that you can see that. And we've used it successfully in other projects in the village of Sagaponack to deal with that concern. We also have adjusted the exterior light fixtures. They're very low wattage. They don't have, they're shielded fixtures, so there's no, exposed lamp, which is different, I think, than the images that you're showing.
No, this
is internal. This is not exterior lighting. The one on the right is exterior lighting, but the other one is interior lighting.
Yeah, I mean, if that is interior lighting, it's like an entire table of glass, which is not what we have here.
So what we would appreciate then is if indeed you're using that type of glass. We recently had a submission, an application that indicated to us what, a comparison, in other words, of how many lumens the fenestration was emitting because of the use of that particular glass and, all the reasons that you've just explained.
Right.
Because that would be helpful to us to be able to compare what exists versus, or what could be versus what is, if you will. So.
The other thing that I want to point out is, and Derek, we made our point with this, if we could go back to either the color renderings or the elevations, because this house to me presents, not to be a very tall house. And I appreciate that. It's more, the scale is more in the horizontal versus the vertical. But towards the back part of the house that faces the pond, there's a more of a larger structure. And when I'm looking at the elevations, that seems to present an entire first and second story of glass.
Well, I think the elevations are misleading, and I think the renderings are probably more in keeping with.
Well, the elevations can't be misleading because that's what we're going to go by.
Well, they do match exactly, but I think that when you look at a flat two-dimensional elevation, you're not appreciating the decks and the balconies that are essentially projecting out, 10 or 12 feet and sometimes 14 feet, breaking up the facade and stepping the second floor back.
Okay.
So visual expression.
Right. All right. So here's the thing. We can go on and on and on, and I'm not going to. We're saying to you, and I'm going to poll the board to see if there's a majority that will approve this house as presented today. If not, we're going to ask you to reconsider and take seriously our concern about the amount of window door fenestration, how it pertains to the amount of light that is going to emit from an 18,000 square foot house on an agricultural land. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a motion to approve this application as presented. Can I get a second, Esperanza?
No.
Chip?
No.
Diane?
No. Hang on a second. Whoa.
You're just polling the board.
He's polling the board. She needs a second to make this motion. So this is not the vote on the motion. This is.
Well, I don't think it's a motion. I think that was
said, right. I was basically what I was trying to say is, if we could.
Yeah, don't make it, then Betsy, don't make it as a motion to approve it. Just ask a poll whether or not they're ready to make a positive decision on this.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Because if I were to make a motion, then it would be denied if it was voted down.
And then you have to withdraw it if that's what you want.
Yeah. Okay. So I apologize for that. So I'd like to poll the board to see if anyone would be at this time willing to approve this presentation as presented. And I would like to ask Esperanza.
No, I would not.
Okay. Chip?
No.
Diane?
No.
And Jonathan?
No.
No. And Jonathan, let me ask you this. Jonathan is our new architect on the board. Is there anything else that you would like to add so that possibly Ray and Dan could better understand what we're saying, or if there's anything else that you would like to add to that to help them along?
I think it would be really helpful to have real information about the low light transmittance glass that's using and what its effect is on this. You can maybe even, the glass company might have a image online or something that shows how much, or tell you the lumens difference and so forth, so that the glass becomes less of an issue, because I know that you're out, you're out in the house is out in this really beautiful, vast plain, and the light there is especially nice because it's on the water, and so you want to have that light come into your house as well. Correct.
Yeah, we'd be happy to provide that. Thank you for that feedback.
Right.
Okay. Good.
But I don't think that would, for some of the members of the board, that would overrule the amount of fenestrations that you're presenting.
It's just the information.
Right.
Yes.
Right. The other concern that I had in thinking about this, with the amount of light that could come into the house on a hot, bright, sunny day, and a lot of your exterior materials, as much as I love them, are also dark.
Yes.
And I'm just concerned with the way that sunlight is attracted to dark, that in addition to all the glass, that it's going to be, a fire inside. I don't mean literally, but it's going to be.
Our 50 walls.
Excuse me, Jonathan?
I'm sorry, I was trying to make a joke. I'm sorry.
No, what was your joke? I could use a
extra insulation in the walls.
All right, so I'm going to table this application, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in the near future. Our next.
So, Betsy?
Yes.
Could we just make sure to be clear about what we're asking in regards to not only the, a specification of the material used for the fenestration, but possibly a reevaluation of the amount of fenestration?
Yes, I was trying to make myself clear on that, but thank you for doubling down on that. Right.
And also, if we could, because Ray, I think, was describing the lighting involved, and we don't have, from what I can see, any lighting plan for the exterior lighting, so we would need to have that also.
Right, and also spec sheets for the for your dark sky compliant exterior lights. And
we have that spec sheet included in the presentation.
They do have exterior lighting.
And they are also noted on the plan. It's a Bega exterior wall sconce that is shielded, very low wattage.
Okay, well, we'll make sure to double check and look through that. And then also, if you want to prepare any type of fencing or gates that you're going to be installing.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is there a percentage or a number that we're looking for in order to get the?
No, I'm going to leave that up to the design team on your group.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate it. And thank you for the new color renderings. So when you do come back, you'll have to have, of course, updated elevations as well as the color renderings.
Not a problem.
All right, thank you. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Joshua and Eve Weiner, Revocable Trust, tax map number 300-200-1-2.1, 66 Wainscott Hollow Road.
Wait, Betsy, did you ever outline what the applicant needed?
Yes, we just did.
All right, so is this lighting?
No, Derek, it was the whole conversation. They said that they submitted lighting.
Sure.
Could you just run through it real quick so I can make a note of it to put on the minutes?
So it was for them to rethink the amount of glass and window door fenestrations on the residence, as well as any type of fencing or gates that they may be planning to put on the property. And with that would be new elevations as well as color renderings based on any changes to the buildings.
And also the comparison of the special glass, the type of glass.
Right.
Did we freeze?
No, I'm just writing some notes down.
Oh, I thought everybody froze.
So I'm gonna go back to where I was. Joshua and Eve Weiner, Revocable Trust, tax map number 300-200-1-2.1, 66 Wainscott Hollow Road in Wainscott. And Michael, Britton Bristrian might be on the line, and someone else, or I think there's actually a few people. Let me get my notes.
Yes, there's a handful of people on Zoom. Edmund Hollander, James Merrill, Garrett, Ryan Morrison. I don't see Britton Bistrian though.
I'm here. Britton and I are together. I'm Denise Shern. Nice to meet you. Representing the applicant tonight.
Okay.
And we have Ed Hollander on too. Hi, Ed.
Ed,
And
you're muted.
all right. Derek, I think you gave me screen sharing ability, which I appreciate, but I was wondering if you could perhaps give that to Garrett, our architect.
It appears on my screen. If everybody could let me know that this is showing up okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Great.
Are you going to go through the cover letter where you outline the revisions that made?
Yes, yes, we will.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, so getting into it. So we have this cover letter that we have outlined all of the areas that were noted from the board in our previous meeting that we took into consideration with this next submission. So going through those, we have an updated rendered site plan showing the intent of the landscaping. We also show that the garage and the pool now conforms with the accessory structure setback of 60 feet. We have included a materials diagram outlining all the exterior finishes and colors. There was a change from the client with the type of window where we're going to be using a wood window rather than an aluminum window. And that is going to be a Duratherm. And then additionally, we're showing new renderings that cover all the elevations of the proposed structure, along with elevations of both accessory structures, the garage and the pool house. And then we've also included a lighting plan with specifications and a rendering at night to help visualize the lighting impact on the property itself.
Great, thank you.
So here we decided to include a visibility diagram, what we're calling it, just showing the existing property's proximity to the surrounding neighbors and the hedges that are located to the west of the property. Here is our materials diagram. So we are showing a aluminum roof that is going to be the color black. There's going to be a corresponding chimney that is in the same material. There is a painted trim at the top and the bottom of the windows that is going to be painted black to match as best as possible the aluminum windows, or excuse me, the aluminum roof. We're showing a rain screen siding that is #1 red cedar that is going to be left to weather naturally. We have a picture here depicting the Duratherm windows. And then lastly, some board form concrete for the foundation and landscaping retaining walls. Please stop me if at any point you have a question or you'd like to look at any image any longer.
Thank you. No, you're doing great, Garrett. Keep going.
Thank you very much, Betsy.
We're not shy. We'll jump in.
Here we're looking at a rendered site plan provided from Hollander Design, showing the intent of the landscaping and the master plan for the property. We have also included a diagram that shows the locations of each one of the renderings that we're about to look through. So starting here, we're going to start at the driveway and we're going to move around the property, looking at the main house. And once we get all the way around, we'll then look at the accessory structures, starting with the garage and then ending with the pool house. And then we will end with our lighting plan and concluding with a night rendering. So to start, we have an aerial image showing, just to give a better context for the project in its relation to the surrounding property. So here we're showing it's a one-story house that has a cathedral ceiling where the existing potato barn on the site exists to pay homage to the history of the site. A revision that we have made from the last time is that we have added louvers over all the windows that are above the first floor. This is a view from the driveway. A view looking at the east elevation from the street.
What are the materials that you're going to redo that retaining wall?
I believe on our plan, we're noting it just to leave it as it's existing.
But it's railroad ties and old wood.
Ed, would you be able to talk a little bit on how you would like to repurpose the railroad ties?
You know, we need to do a structural analysis. If we want to try to retain as much of that street front character as we can.
No, I know, but you're not going to be able to keep what's there. It's you know, it's old rotted wood, right, basically.
We would probably then try to go to a board form concrete that maintains the feeling of that wood form, but in a more structurally sound manner.
Okay, so that's not something that you're presenting to us today at this point. So that would be something that you'd have to come back to us with that. Because also, too, what you're showing is that there are, you know, entry retaining walls in addition to the ones that go on the plane of the street. So we would need to know what that is also.
Well, Betsy, I'll explain that because that's the existing foundation of the potato barn that they plan to use.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's concrete, I would imagine.
Right, and we could have the walls match that.
So those retaining walls that are the entryway, those are there right now, cement walls, Esperanza?
Well, the foundation is, that's there, but there's a door, obviously, for the potato barn, because it's a barn.
Oh, I see. They're going to use the foundation for the barn.
Correct.
Okay.
That goes through the house, if I'm not mistaken.
It just stops at the start of the main house.
Or the courtyard. Okay.
Yes.
So just to be clear, so the board members understand, in case they're not as, you know, intimately and as involved in this as Esperanza is, the roof of the potato barn goes away. You're maintaining those walls, the structural walls. You're not replacing them. You're maintaining them. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So these walls right here, you can see on the interior of the potato barn, there are these beautiful buttresses that are holding up the walls, and we want to maintain those as well.
Nice. Okay, great. Great.
View looking northwest or the southeast elevation of the house. This is the southern elevation to the house. And I would like to note here that there is a large overhang protruding on the western elevation here. This is all an exterior dining area for our clients. And additionally, this pitched roof has a 4-foot overhang that overhangs the southern elevation and the corresponding roof behind it.
So both sides, both south and north, have that 4-foot overhang?
Yes. There's a view looking at the west elevation of the property, looking at that overhanged porch area, and again, carrying those new louvers in the opening to help shield the light coming from the windows above the first story.
I also think aesthetically, it looks nicer. It looks more interesting.
Yes, it does.
I think we completely agree. Yeah, it's a very cool feature.
Yeah. May I ask you, is the green tint on the windows actually a green tint, or is that just for effect?
I think it's just a rendering. We would like to use a low iron window. We try to avoid a green tint as much.
Okay, I just wondered.
With our windows, we are working with our manufacturer, and we have specified a window with a solar band of PPG 70, which cuts the visible light reflectiveness significantly. So we are taking steps to help remedy some of the light that could be spilling out onto the
And
property.
you'll include that technical information
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
board. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, could you just repeat to me what that terminology was again? What was the name?
So our windows are specified to have a solar band of PPG 70.
Okay.
and that helps cut the visible light reflectance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Additionally, with the windows, we have consulted Susan Harder, who I might be familiar to the board, but she is a New York State representative to the International Dark Sky Association, along with being a contributing author and drafting local lighting codes throughout the East End. And she's helped us to evaluate our design's lighting so that we are in accordance with town lighting code and the concerns addressed by the board. She has also included a supplemental letter for the board's review. And if there are
When you say lighting, you mean your light fixtures?
Yes.
Interior
Light
and
fixtures,
exterior.
Yeah, and we want to bring into account, any light that may be emitting from the interior of the house onto the
Okay, great.
Yes. This is the northwest elevation. And so following here, we're going to be going into the accessory structures. So this is the back of the detached garage, where we're showing the same materials as the main house. Here you
I like the slope of the back of the roof.
Thank you. Yeah. It's that ag easement overlay.
Yeah, look. Yeah, ag look. No, it's great. I like it.
Thank you. And I would also like to point out our exterior lighting fixture. We're noting right by the door. We will get to the spec in a few slides. We have the front elevation of the garage. There is one window facing the street, and again, another exterior light. All of the exterior lights are shielded at the top and only point down, and will only have will only be 2700 Kelvin, just to keep a nice low amber, soft light, just illuminating the entrances to the house. Here we have the northwest elevation of the pool house, again showing those exterior lights. And finally, the back elevation of the pool structure, again showing those lights. Here we have.
And that, excuse me, can we go back? That stone retaining wall, is that on the?
That is noted on the landscape plan. Yes.
But would that be noted on the survey?
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay, and do you know what the height is?
Ed, would you be able to speak to that?
Ryan, I think these are 30 inches or so.
Okay, so like 2.5 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Can you show us where the basement has a window coming out or a door?
Yes, we have an aerial rendering
outside,
before looking at that. Yeah. So here we have a exterior lighting plan. We're only lighting by exterior entrances and at the pool structure. So we have just some recessed downlights that will be embedded into the ceiling at all the overhangs, and then those Bega lighting fixtures on the exterior columns by these back doors here. And
can you go back and tell us where the lighting's going to be on the pool house? Is that recessed as well?
Yes, so there are 2 recessed fixtures under the covered area here. And then on the 4 posts of the pool house, there would be those Bega lighting fixtures pointing downward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Here we have the lighting specs for those particular fixtures. And lastly, we will conclude with our aerial rendering at night, showing the best of our ability the lighting effects of the property.
You have one from the back side?
Just this side.
Backside is going to be more important.
Oh, they're equally important, really. They both face ag overlay.
Right, that's true.
Garrett,
Anything else, Garrett, that you want to add?
could we just pull up Susan's letter, Garrett?
of course.
Because it addresses the lighting from the rear of the structure as well.
Yes.
So we submitted this letter today, so apologies for the late submission. But Susan Harder was gracious enough to review our revised plans that we produced in response to the information and advice that the ARB had given us at the last meeting. And in reviewing the proposal, she found that the proposal would be that it's been designed intelligently in a way to provide for lighting that is really just for safety, for walkways, for entrance safety. She agreed that all of the lighting on site is fully shielded and dark sky compliant. She was particularly impressed with the fact that the homeowner did not try to sort of ring the entire structure with lighting, but kept it to the minimal amount that would be required. She also noted that the fixtures that are going to be used will be lamped, and they will be 2700 Kelvin, as Garrett said, which is less than the 3000 limit that's required by code. She also stated that the landscape lighting, in addition to the interior and exterior lighting on the home, is referred to as amber, and that amber is known to be wildlife friendly, which was, an important issue for us being in the ag overlay district and fronting or abutting agricultural land. She also does not believe there will be any light trespass at all crossing the property line, and that includes the agricultural area in the rear. She stated that at best, she believes that the brightest, area at the property lines would be 0.01 foot candles, which is, she said, would be less than what moonlight would provide. So her conclusion was that the project is a good one in terms of avoiding glare and light trespass, which we know is a concern for the board, especially when there are large windows in a home.
And one of the key points I just want to add on to what Denise said was that when Susan studied it, she said it was very insightful that the house was not a two-story house, that taking out the second story in and of itself reduced the possibility of light trespass dramatically.
Right, right.
And I did go through my files, and we do have an image from the back elevation.
Oh, good.
I apologize that wasn't submitted. It was something we did post submission, but we can happy to provide this to you if you would like.
Mark.
Does anybody have any questions for anyone representing the property owner?
I just, since I've said this before, I drive by this property almost daily. And it's just such a wonderful open vista. And, I do feel, having now seen this as well, and the whole presentation, that this is a sensitive way to treat the existing property and building. My concern goes more to just how spread out everything is, and then you have this tremendous amount of vegetation that I am sure is sort of a requisite for the owner to provide privacy. But these wonderful open vistas that we enjoy in Wainscott, and they are going to be still hopefully across the street. But it would be so nice to see if there would be any chance to just kind of push back how much vegetation is almost right on the property line, and try and maybe keep that more open. I wonder if that would be something that could be explored, just as a suggestion.
I think it's a very good suggestion, Esperanza. Thank you.
And I think, we would, clearly we want to be, and the clients want to be good neighbors and part of the community and part of the neighborhood. And so I think they would be open to entertaining, any of the recommendations that the board has. And perhaps, and I should probably leave this to Denise, similar to what you did with Jeff Calais' project, if we'd be happy to provide a detailed planting plan that we could review with the board, to be able to facilitate, some level of separation, but also keeping the vistas open as are suggested, as we get further into the detailed design of this.
I appreciate that, because I really enjoy seeing this wonderful meadow that you have planned for this, as you can see on this screen here on the left side there, and sort of an orchard on the other side, but then it's all going to be hedged in. And so those hedges will grow, and soon enough, it's just going to be another sort of fortified property in this area.
And we wouldn't want to do this with privet or anything that feels, East Hampton-y or Southampton-y. We would try to stick more with native bayberries and viburnums and things like that provide habitat for birds and butterflies. And, the idea was to make it feel wild, as though, listen, when we walk around there, it feels like the property's been abandoned. And judging by the number of ticks I pulled off me, I think it had. But I think we're happy to work with the board to develop some specificity in the planting that they would be happy with, if they see fit to approve the buildings.
Well, I think it's, to Chip's point, the last time that you were in front of us, the way that the renderings presented, there was massive amounts of growth, really high in the front to the streetscape. And he was concerned about that. And I think Esperanza is speaking to that also. And then my other question to you would be, with regards to any type of fencing and gates, do you have any plans for that is specific that we review tonight, or do you want to come back to us with that in the near future?
I'll leave that to Denise, but I think we would, we obviously, we're going to need to have compliant pool code fencing.
Right.
And there is existing fencing along the western property line from the farm that's there right now.
What type of fencing is it? Is it like post rail?
There's wire fencing there now, in addition to the split rail.
Right. There's a board and rail, kind of paddock fence that's up there right now.
And that's on the other property. It's not on your property.
I think it's just on, it's basically on the property line, but very close.
If I could just say, because I have pictures of this when I was there the other day, there is a 4-foot deer fence or wire fence that's being put in place there, I think, on the property line.
Now, currently being put.
Currently, now.
4-foot deer fence?
4-foot wire fence, yes.
Not a deer fence.
I mean, you'd have to look at my photographs.
Can I ask about the topography? Because there's a large rise up from the road. Now, you've maintained that, I think. Is that right?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So that when you're looking at it from the front away, you will be looking uphill. And
yes,
so,
exactly.
So you'll be able to see everything from a distance away.
Yeah.
That's the part that's not so open. Like that hedge is not, it's like a prison wall. I mean, that's what needs to be opened up. That's nice open land there now.
Yeah,
that's where I have the most problem. You fortified it.
Yeah, that's my concern, because again, it's being neighborly, as you just said, and too much of our neighbors.
Are these new board members here?
And fenced.
Yes.
As I said, we'd be happy to work with the board in reviewing a specific planting plan. We do a lot of computer renderings now, and we have to work within a library of that the computer program produces. I can't pick a bayberry or a viburnum dentatum.
Right, I understand, but I just, the point being is that you understand where Esperanza and Chip and anyone else who made a comment on that would like to see that not become a fortified wall of green.
And I'll tell you, and if I can just be sort of lyrical and poetic right now, I'll tell you why. Because I recently read the wonderful book called Wainscot Dumplings. And I really recommend it. You can get it at Hampton. And it was written by a woman, Alice Osborne Hand. And she describes at one point about a gentleman, Mr. Strong, who could walk over these fields. This used to be strong land, and could walk through these fields all the way to the Osbornes on the other side and so forth. And it was just so lovely to read that. And it still feels that way. And what we're looking at right now will completely obliterate that feel, which is a historic feel to this area.
So let me ask the board to also comment if anybody has anything to say. My feeling is going through this evening with you that I don't hear any negativity to the structure, the materials of the buildings and the outbuildings. It's more of a concern at this point about how over landscaped the property becomes, and we lose the historic cultural feeling of the area. Does anybody have anything that they want to ask with regards to the structures on the property that are being proposed tonight? Chip, do you have anything?
No, I actually kind of like the structures. I hope saving this potato barn foundation is worth the effort. It's like, I respect the idea that you're trying to do it. I just don't think it maintains very much of what is there, but I have no problems with the structures.
Okay.
Sorry.
Me? I think they're quite elegant and certainly not over large. It's a very nice house.
Right. And Diane?
I liked it from the beginning very much. I think it's very accommodating and sensitive, and
right.
I like it.
I'm in agreement. And Esperanza, you wanted to say?
No, I think that also, as I said earlier, it is, sort of respectful. Again, and I know I said this in the past, I just felt like it needed to be a little tighter in a way with the cabana sort of so far to the south. And I feel like in practical terms, that might be a detriment for the owner, but that's up to them.
Okay. All right, so we can do this. We could make a motion to approve the presentation for the buildings, for the residents and the accessory buildings, and have you come back to us with more specific information with regards to any fences and gates that you're proposing or you're currently putting up on the property, and what, if possible, that front wall materials will be. I do like the fact that you're using the foundation of the potato barn, and I believe also too there was some request to get the specifications on the polar band glass, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, so is that okay, David, Nancy Lynn, that I do that?
So right now the application is for everything, but because I know that front wall was on their plans, but your fencing is not included in your application right now, correct?
Right.
So the application, if it's everything but fencing in that front wall, we'll go forward with that, and that would be the extent of what the approval would be for. And then if any of that wall or fencing is required to have ARB review, then that can come back as either a modification to this approval or a separate application.
Right, right, okay.
Is that possible with that retaining wall that's by the foundation of the potato barn, since that's sort of integral to the whole design, and it is?
It may not need separate approval because it may actually, since it doesn't extend up above grade and it's just really a retaining wall, you may not have jurisdiction at all.
Right,
So,
and it's existing.
Yeah, I mean, you may not have jurisdiction at all on it. So it may be something. I just don't want to leave them hanging if they get to get their building permit and Ann Glennon says, oh, you need this. they can certainly come back and get what they need. But I would say that some of the stuff may not even need ARB approval.
Right. And also, the other thing that I would like to make a comment on, and I think the board would also agree with me, to be very sensitive to any type of driveway gates, that since the property does, is on an incline, I'm feeling that there's no necessary reason to put a driveway gate near the road or anything like that. So I'd like you to keep that sensitivity when you're coming back to us for any kind of approvals for fences or gates.
Okay.
Yes, keep wainscot dumplings in mind, please.
Yes, right.
We
Gotta
will.
find the book.
Book Hampton. It's easy to get. So should I make a motion?
Yes, please. Let's move this forward.
Ready? Okay. So I make a motion to approve the application as submitted. Correct?
Yes. Can I get a second on that, Diane?
Yes, second.
All in favor, Chip?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
And Betsy, yes. Okay, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Okay.
Bye, Potato Barn.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Juno 9 LLC, tax map number 132 North Main Street. No, I'm sorry. This is Tyson Lane in East Hampton. Tax map number 300-189-6-2.3.
Yeah, Derek, can you bring up some of the photos and I'll start?
While you're doing that, I'm just going to excuse myself for 1 minute.
Okay. So the applicant seeks approval of a third set of driveway gates for a third driveway on a very large estate parcel. It's about 20 acres off Further Lane. The application was before us in the fall for a 6-foot solid set of driveway gates, and we turned that down. The two sets of existing driveway gates are 6 feet high, they're solid, and they are flanked by 6-foot high posts. Current request as submitted to us on the application is for a 5-foot set of solid gates for this third driveway, which would match the other two sets, but be a foot shorter. Given the openness of the land and the owner's
Can I
desire.
interrupt you a second, Chip? Is this one piece of property that has 3 separate driveways?
It's 3 pieces of property.
No. So the application is just for one piece of property, correct?
It's for a tennis house that's part of a larger assemblage of property.
Right. Is the application for one tax map number?
Looks like
Yes.
it.
Okay,
Dawn, is
so
that
then
right?
it's just an
Yes.
application for one, it's for one driveway gate. The fact that there were other ones, that's not part of what you're reading in, because that's not part of this application. If you had 3 residences on one piece of property, then it would be history of the property is that there had been 2 prior approvals on this property.
Right, there's 3 properties. It's 5, 7, and 9, and we're reviewing number 9 today.
So number 9 is, this is the first driveway gate on number 9. So that's what the application is about.
Okay, fine. So the current request is for a 5-foot high set of solid gates, which would match the other 2 sets. Given the openness of the land and for consistency's sake in the neighborhood, I have no issue with a 5-foot solid gate with 5-foot posts that effectively match the other gates on adjoining properties.
Too bad.
John Tarbett, do you want to talk?
Love to talk, thank you. Jim and I did speak quickly, it was yesterday or the day before. I did explain what the application was about. Unfortunately, I didn't submit the original application, so in looking everything over, it was confusing. There's actually a lot of confusing things about the original application, not the least of which was the gates didn't match each other from picture to picture. But the idea here is to exactly match the gates at 5 and 7, which were previously approved by this board in 2018, and almost exactly match the gates at 12 and 14, which are the oceanfront properties. Those gates are actually slightly, on those particular gates, the pillars are higher. So on 12 and 14, it's the exact same gate. It's just that the pillars are higher than the fence. On this application, it's intended to exactly match 5 and 7. So to recap, Tyson Lane is a private road. There's 7 homes on it. 4 of the gates are almost 4 of the gates are actually identical already. This would be the 5th one out of the 7. Out of the other 2 gates, one of them is actually higher than 6 feet, and then the other one is just another gate. So the 7 homes, they all have gates. We're going to be the 5th home with the exact same gate. However, our pillars are going to be flush with the top of the gate. And the only thing I wanted to add to what Chip said is that the gate itself, I thought was going to be a 5-foot gate, but it's actually a 5-foot 8-inch gate, so that it can be flush to the top of a 6-foot pillar. And the difference is that the gate itself has a 4-inch gap on the bottom to allow for the gate to open and close. But other than that, I submitted the, actually what's on the screen right now is what I was able to submit yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, yesterday, to accurately depict exactly what is proposed. And this drawing is exactly what would it look like if you drew the existing gates. So what you're seeing in this drawing is exactly what's at 5 and 7. And we're supposed to.
John, we don't measure the gates separate from the distance at the bottom. We just measure up from the ground. So you're talking about 5'8" and 4 inches. You're asking for a 6-foot high gate.
Right, but so I understand, but the application said 5 foot, but that was a mistake.
Application as stated on the 21st of January says 5 foot, which is a 5-foot tall gate.
Okay. All right, so just to be clear, so he's asking for a 6-foot gate. The other thing is, if we could just discuss it, on that same side of the road, there is a agricultural gate similar to what's in place here. Is that the same property, number 9? Those 2 ag gates that are located on that eastern side of this property?
That's the ag overlay.
So there's 5, 7, and 9, which are residential parcels, and then there's an ag overlay parcel, a separate parcel that's an ag overlay. It's actually will be a working farm.
Okay, so that's where that agricultural gate is going to stay.
Yes.
This is the one that's further south on that side of the road, the eastern side of the road, correct?
Correct, yes. If you're on further lane, the farm that you see is actually distinct and separate tax map.
Right.
That's a parcel that cannot be built on, it's preserved. I think it was part of the Tyson Lane subdivision that property was preserved. And
There's an aerial of that.
And that, I think the gate you're talking about goes to that property.
Yeah, right, okay. But where this gate is going there right now, is there there's a construction gate or some kind of?
Yes, there's a farm gate.
I just want to be clear that we all know what we're talking about. All right. Chip, do you have anything else?
I did take a picture of another gate that's appeared on the property. It's a individual gate. Derek, I sent that in this morning.
Is that the pedestrian gate that we talked about?
That's the pedestrian gate that's on the south side of the property. So, yeah. That gate appeared. I don't think we've ever approved that gate.
No. And that's approximately how tall?
6 feet. It's exactly the same as the others.
So John, what property does that go to?
The picture, Chip, is that on 9 or is that on 5 or 7?
I believe it's on the same property as the tennis house.
It does look pretty new. I don't know anything about it.
Okay, well, if you could just let the property owner know that needs ARB approval.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know anything about it, but I can look at it.
Okay, thank you. Chip, you want to move this forward?
I have no problem with this. I'd be curious to what the other board members have to say.
Does anybody have any comments?
It's another solid wall.
Well, it's more walls up on further lane.
Yeah,
well, it's actually on
can't see
Tyson
it.
Lane.
Yeah, but it's just more fortification. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the gates are fortification, but as you see, the property is extremely open. It's
I sent Derek an aerial. I don't know if you want to look at that, so maybe we can get a sense. Anyway, I'm not trying to hold it up. I just
made a comment, and it's noted. Thank you.
Yep.
Is that where
So
we're talking about?
the property is everything within the inside of this U, which is Tyson Lane. So all that greenery in the sort of center and the road surrounds it on the left, right, and straight forward. It's the internal part of Tyson Lane.
Pointed out.
All right, Chip, why don't you make a motion?
I make a motion to approve this 6-foot driveway gate with 6-foot posts that in effect match neighboring driveway gates under the same ownership.
All right, can I get a second on that, Diane?
Second.
All in favor, Esperanza?
No.
Jonathan?
Yes.
And Betsy, yes. All right, you're good to go. Thanks, John.
Very much for your time.
Okay, so Derek, we didn't update the agenda to show that the next one should be Jacqueline and Edward Marcus, 8 Osborne Farm Lane, which is on the agenda under fences, walls, and berms, but it should be on ag overlay. So I'm going to read that into the record now, and we'll review that. Jacqueline and Edward Marcus, tax map number 300-197-8-98, Osborne Farm Lane in Wainscott. And that would be Esperanza.
Yes.
Esperanza.
I have all the fun ones.
Yeah.
This is an application for proposed fencing and a driveway gate with pedestrian gates within the fencing. Osborne Farm Lane is a cul-de-sac facing this home, is surrounded by agricultural land, and it is within the ag overlay district, as Betsy pointed out. The fencing that's proposed is, give me a second.
If you can pull up some pictures while Esperanza is describing this.
Thank you. The fencing is proposed at 5 feet 6 inches in a white AZEC. And includes the pedestrian gates, I believe. This is the home. And then the driveway gate would be proposed at 6 feet 2 inches with stone, also in the white AZEC, with stone pillars measuring 6 feet 7.5 inches. And those pillars would be 2 feet square. This is the design that is proposed. And again, going back, this is a really quiet cul-de-sac off of Sayers Path. It's a very narrow area. And this is right at the end of that cul-de-sac.
And there are no other driveway gates on that street, are there?
There are no driveway gates. The only thing that I saw was like a like a agricultural sort of gate on the other side of Osborne Farm Lane. And also I wanted to point out that this proposes lighting on either side of the driveway gate, which looks to be not dark sky compliant, considering also that I was at this place at night and they're trying to match the existing lighting by the garage, and that was very, very bright.
Is there anybody on the line, Michael, for this application? For Jacqueline and Edward Marcus?
There are a few callers on the line. I'd have to go through them with you to see who they pertain to.
We're looking for Roxine, perhaps from Harmonia.
Yes, maybe Roxine, you're right.
I will unmute the first caller. The last 4 digits are 1891. Unmuting now. Hello, caller with the number 1891. Are you there? Hearing nothing. Chair, they could be for the next one. I'll mute them and move on.
Okay. Esperanza, how high are those pillars? They're 2 feet, they're 2 by 2. Were they 6.7, you said?
Correct. Yes, that's what's proposed.
Chair, I'm unmuting the next caller. The last 4 digits of their phone are 0839.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes,
caller. Could you identify
that's
yourself?
me. Roxine Brown.
Hi, Roxine.
Great.
Hi, Roxine.
Hi there.
Thank you,
Hi,
Mike.
how are you? I didn't expect to be on so quickly. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We're
Okay.
glad that you're on so quickly.
I am too. Thank you.
Okay. So were you able to hear Esperanza's opening with the description of the application?
I believe I heard most of it, but I was freaking out because I couldn't get anybody to pick up.
Okay. Esperanza, can you read into the record what the application is for, please?
Yes, this is proposing pedestrian gate and fencing on the east and west side of this home, as well as a driveway entry gate. And the fencing and pedestrian gates would be 5 feet 6 inches and at a maximum. And then the driveway gate is proposed at 6 feet 2 inches, with the pillars measuring 6 feet 7 inches, and they're 2 by 2 feet square.
Okay.
And lighting.
Okay. So my question to you, Roxine, is why all the gates? Why all the fencing? What's going on?
And there is, sorry,
Okay,
and there is
so-
existing fencing, so.
There's what?
Yeah,
Sorry,
there is
sorry,
existing.
there is existing fencing, for pool.
Mhm. In the back. Can we see a survey, Derek? Okay, Roxine, what's going on?
Okay, so this is a young family. They have 3 children, and they would like to. There's a couple of reasons they want the entry gate. That's really where we began, was the entry gate. They want to keep their children. They have 3 very young children. They want to keep them inside the yard. They don't want them running out into the street, although I understand it is a cul-de-sac. There still is a decent amount of people and traffic, and they've even had people wandering onto their property to snoop around. And so they'd like to have the gate. They're open to height, and that's why I sort of chose the design, because the majority of the gate really is at 5 foot 8 inches, the center of the gate. So we chose that design to be able to keep it kind of at a lower profile, and then obviously with that design you have to scoop it up so it does get higher on the outside edges. They have the stone pillars coordinate with the existing facade of the chimneys and some details they have at the back of the house. So just to kind of go back to the reason being, it's predominantly for the children. We would like to be able to keep people from snooping and walking into the property. And also we would like to be able to try to keep some of the deer out. We've had so far good luck with a lower profiled deer fence that we did that you all approved for myself out in Amagansett at a 5 foot height. This is slightly higher. I think that if we needed to go slightly lower to keep everyone satisfied, I think the client would be willing to do that. I just don't really want it to go lower than 5 feet in the center point. As far as the side fencing...
Wait, before you go any further. We do not have the ability to approve anything over 6 feet. So anything 6'2", 6'7", we can't. It's town code. And I would have thought that you would have known that.
So even the side scoops, you're saying, have to be under 6 feet?
Absolutely. And those pillars, absolutely. It's town code.
Okay. I wasn't aware that the pillars would have to be. So
nothing in the front of the yard facing nothing in the front of the yard facing the street can be over 6 foot in the town code. The ARB has the ability to approve up to 6 feet. Anything over 4 feet in a normal residence where they can have 4 feet or under without ARB approval. But on agricultural land, even a 2 foot gate, you need ARB approval. So I'm going to pass this over to Esperanza. I want to deal with the gate first before we move into the fencing. Esperanza, your take on this?
I'm loath to approve a gate for Osborne Farm Lane where there are no existing gates. It's a nice, open, very bucolic landscape, super quiet. My road, which is quiet, is busier than that, I would say, because there's no through traffic in Osborne Farm Lane. If you are going to Osborne Farm Lane, that's why you're there. I think it's redundant. I don't think it's necessary.
Yes, and I am very concerned about setting a precedent on that street, and all of a sudden it becomes a gated community, which is against the rural character of our town. And if they need to fence in from the back plane of the house or the front plane of the house to keep their children inside, I think we can move on to that. Does anybody else on the board have any comments with regards to the design or the application for a front gate on that small dead-end street? How many houses are on there, Esperanza, if you'd have to say? 5 or 6, maybe?
Roughly right there, I think there are
right on the street, yeah.
Right on that cul-de-sac, I think there are 3 houses. There's one empty lot that maybe is going to have construction on it, but I think there are only 3 homes.
Down there, okay.
Right on that circle.
Right on the circle, yeah. And then you've got the one road that goes off of that towards the reserve, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Diane?
I still think that it's...
Roxanne. Oh. Yes, I agree. You know, I mean, it sets a precedent. I mean, there's so many, when the first gate goes up, you know, it encourages other gates, and
it's just a visual deterrent that doesn't look good there.
So how do we tackle the kids now are can only be in the back of the property without worrying about them running out? And I know it's not certainly 27 that they're on, but they're still, you know, they're a young family, they're young children, and they'd like to have their kids be able to have the roam of the property and not just be relegated to the back of the property. How do we tackle that? You know, how does that, I mean, it's obvious to me that the board is leaning towards no longer approving gates. It's, you know, which I wish then that there would be sort of a rule that says you can't ever, you know, you can't apply for gates.
We wish to sometimes.
If I may,
it looks like Nancy Lynn wants to come in. Come on.
If I may just, according to the code, as long as the highest point of your front gate is 4 foot or less, you can do it as a matter of right. So it's only when you're asking for a gate with the pillars or any part of the structure is greater than 4 feet, and that in this neighborhood, this board is providing you the opinion that anything greater than 4 feet, they're not interested in approving. It doesn't mean you can't have that gate, but you can only do it according to what is acceptable by code. That's how the town board has set up the town code and said, as a matter of right to 4, you want more than that, it has to be appropriate to this board that a gate of a greater than 4 foot height is appropriate in this neighborhood. And I believe the feedback you're getting is that they're finding it is not.
Nancy Lynn, this is ag overlay, so even 4 feet would have to be approved by us?
No, it doesn't, not with an ag overlay.
Oh.
Well, that's not what happened a couple weeks ago.
I understand that. I understand that, but it under the code, ag overlay is structures that require site plan. Site plan requires that it needs a building permit. Fences and gates less than 4 feet don't require a building.
However, and David could jump in on this. I
know I had the conversation with David. We're going to confirm that with Ann, but
okay, because the building department made us approve a 4 foot fencing,
I understand that, and
Okay.
I will clarify that with Ann, but the statute,
Okay, all right.
that's the delineation.
So
Yep.
why don't they,
Just so the board understands, because from,
Yeah,
what
no,
we-
I understand that there was a slight contradiction.
That's
there.
fine, that's fine.
Yep.
All right, Chip, you were going to say?
so why doesn't the applicant put up a 4-foot gate with 4-foot posts and we all go home?
Right.
If indeed that is
Well-
the right code.
Yeah,
It is
I
the
mean,
right.
that's not the only, obviously, that's, as I said before, that's not the only accomplishment, or that's not the only goal with this. We would also like to be able to, we're not deer-proofing the back of her property. The back of her property is remaining with their 4-foot fence, 4-foot wire pool compliance fence, and that, with respect to the views of the reserve. But we would like to be able to have a part of her property be deer resistant. And
Well,
if
6-foot gates are not going to stop a deer from jumping over a 6-foot gate. I have a 6-foot stockade fence portion in my backyard, and they're jumping over that daily.
Crazy.
So let's move on to your fence and gates for the enclosing the back. Are there existing gates there and fencing there now, Roxine?
Yeah,
I took a picture.
It's 4 foot. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's take a
It's
look.
4
And you
foot.
want to change these to 5'6", correct?
Well, we wanted to do it at 5'6" because we were trying to do. I wouldn't, if we're not doing a front gate, I wouldn't be even looking at 5'6" gates, because what we were trying to do is also hope that we could keep the deer out of the front of the property, and if they are in the back, well then, that's fine. That we're going to do everything landscape-wise in the back of the property that would be deer resistant. So if the entry gate becomes an unapproved item, then my fencing, I do not need 5'6" fencing to connect the sides of the property. We were trying to upgrade the fencing to match the entry gate so that it all looked nice together, instead of that sort of crappy industrial fence that they put because that was a builder's fence.
It looks just fine to me.
So,
Yeah, it looks good to me too.
It's fitting with the whole
What they
environment.
have?
This is a farm. I mean, think of it. It's Osborne Farm Lane. I think we need to respect what was of this area, and this is what we're trying to communicate to you, Roxine.
Yes, there's something about maintaining harmony of the rural character of all of this farmland area, and to keep putting up white large gates and fences is really doing the opposite. It's creating a different environment.
yeah, I mean, style-wise, I think it fits that sort of farmhouse look, even if it is white. Style-wise, that's what we were trying to achieve, is to keep the integrity of a farmhouse and not.
Do we have any renderings that we can look at what you're talking about?
Yeah, you should have it.
Okay. Is
Is
there any renderings of the white side fences and gates?
No, there isn't any. No.
So so we would just be looking at a drawing?
You're looking at there's actually on the first, where you see the entry gate on that particular drawing, on the left-hand side is the specifications of the pedestrian gates and fences. But like
what we're looking at, excuse me, Roxine, what we're looking at, and you might have a little bit of a time delay that you're not seeing it, but we're looking at a photograph of the house with a semi-imposed gate, and then it shows us where the pedestrian gate for the west and the east side. And what you're saying is that this is a 5'6" gate and fence? Is that what I'm getting?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have a
but it was
problem
only-
with her? Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is, if I said it a few minutes ago, if the entry gate does not fly, then the side gates, I would not do at 5 foot 6 inches. I would bring them down to 4 feet.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And you don't need, then, as per Nancy Lynn, you don't need ARB approval. And especially on the gates with the plane of the house, you don't need our approval. Under 6 feet. Okay.
And what about the wire hedging? What about the wire fencing within the hedging? I'm not sure what we'll do with the, I mean, obviously she's still going to want hedging even if she doesn't have an entry gate. Is the 6 foot wire acceptable, or does that need to become 4 foot
front?
wire?
Is that what you're proposing? Is in the front 6 foot wire fencing?
Yes. In the hedging.
Could we, Eric, would you pull up my picture that it's like a nighttime picture of this house, please? So we can see what's existing. There you go.
Nothing's there.
And I love it. Except for the lights, I love it.
So from what we understand, you're planning on putting up a 6 foot wire fencing inside 6 foot privets?
It was planned to be ilex, but yeah, an evergreen.
Well, you could do the landscaping all you want. You'd still have to get approval for the fencing over 4 feet.
If you're putting fence within a hedge system, the deer are not going to say, "Oh, that's a 6 foot fence. I'm not going to go for it," because they can't get through the plants with the hedge, with the 4 foot fence there. So you don't need a high fence if you're putting the hedge in.
Noted.
So you know what I think, Roxanne? I think this was a good learning experience. So why don't we do this? Let's just table your application, let you go back to your client, discuss what you've learned today. And if you'd like to come back to us for other, ideas and, see what we can do, we're more than happy to work with you. But I don't think you're hearing from anyone on this board that we would be approving the application as presented today. Okay, let's table this.
Oh, and Betsy, perhaps Roxanne, if she's going to consult with her client, could go back to them also, and we could just check on the exterior lighting of this home, which I'm not sure if this was something that was we would have to look into the file for what was approved for this construction, which was relatively recently, I think in 2019. But we didn't have time to do that. But if Roxanne, could you just consult with them and see while we look into our files, because this is very bright lighting on both facades, this front and rear facade of the house. I could see the rear facade from Main Street, which was right across the field. So, perhaps,
was that image that you showed earlier, was that this house?
Yes.
Remember when you showed the image? That was this house lit up like that?
Yes. Yes.
So what we're concerned about,
I'm not certain. That's why I said we would need to look.
It's the house next to it, right?
No. There was another photograph. There was another photograph with exterior lights that, to me, from the distance, seemed to be this house because it was right next to the other house that had, so just to the right of the really glowing ball.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Right. So here's the thing, Roxanne. I don't know if your company, handles the lighting situation for this client, but what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the file to see what lighting was approved when we approved the building. And it's very possible that since that new lighting has been put up and they may not be dark sky compliant, therefore we'd need to work with the client to get that into compliance.
Yeah,
okay.
Just so you know, when we talked about the lighting for the pillars, and the client said they wanted to match their sconce lighting. I told them they couldn't. So, because it's not dark sky. I didn't have anything to do with the lighting on the house.
No, I know,
Interior
and that's what I'm saying, and you may not, but just let the client know that we've noticed this, and we're gonna go back and do our research
Due
to see what
diligence
was
on it,
approved, and if it's different than what was approved, instead of them getting a code violation, we could ask them to just bring it into compliance what was approved.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
We'll talk soon. Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Let me go back to, good night and thank you. Where am I? I am moving towards change to commercial. Driftwood Apartment Corp. Tax map number 300-110-1-13 for unit 73. And I'm going to combine that with Driftwood Apartment Corp. Tax map number same for unit 53 and 54. And Michael, I'm looking to see if Jean is on the line to represent the applicant.
I believe we have a caller for that. I will unmute right now. The last 4 digits of their phone are 8500. Unmuting.
Yep, that would be us. Hello?
Jean?
Yes, hi, how are you tonight?
I'm good. So this is app.
Did they rate up to 1650 a week? It used to be a little less, right?
You know, we're having a problem. It's not coming, the call's not coming through.
Excuse me, everybody. Esperanza, are you there?
Yes. Is it something on my end?
No. Betsy's frozen up a little bit.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Diana, you there?
Diane, I'm here.
Okay, just going through. Jonathan, you're there?
I'm here, yeah.
And Nancy Lynn? Okay. Yeah, so Betsy's frozen. I don't know if you want to suggest that someone takes the lead or if we try to have her sign out and sign back in again.
Yes, if she can hear us, I don't know.
You probably can. When it freezes up, you usually can still hear.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
No, I'm trying to send her a text.
Okay, thanks, Diane. So I'm sorry, we have Jean on the line?
Yes, from Land Planning Services.
Okay, thank you.
Esperanza, did you do this application?
I didn't. This is Betsy. So
It is Betsy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Betsy actually did because she had called yesterday about something, so I know she went.
Okay.
Yeah.
She logged out.
Well, then
She should log back in momentarily.
Okay, good.
I unfortunately experience this pretty regularly with ZBA, so I'm used to it. So it is a quick
Betsy, are you
log
there?
out, log in.
Am I here?
Yes, you're
Yeah,
back. You can continue.
there she is.
Okay.
We missed all of what you said, Betsy.
What?
We missed virtually everything you said. If you want to start
Okay,
from the beginning.
perfect. All right. Is Jean there?
Yes, yep, I'm here.
All right. So I'm gonna give a little quick preview of what this is, and then I'm reading into the record what the application is for. So Driftwood Apartments they're located in Amagansett, but they're on the stretch heading east towards Montauk, and across the street from around the area where the old Cyril's it used to be is a few resorts that face the ocean, and they're far back off of the highway. And this is one of those, and it's a multi-unit facility. How many are there, Jean? Are there more than 75?
You know what, to tell you the truth, I don't know the exact number. This is the end of the unit, the end of the stretch, and I think they were
Right,
73.
and then there's like 1 or 2 cottages or something like that. So it's about a 75 unit environment. So these are older 2-story in some way buildings, and they're doing some renovations on swapping out some of the windows and the doors, basically in kind, but upgrading them. In one area, they're moving what was a door, it's now going to be a window. So I'm just going to read into the record what this is. It's pretty straightforward. So for unit number 73, which is down towards the end, on the west elevation, is to replace one existing door with a low-end window on the east elevation, and both the west and the east face the dunes. Replace 2 existing doors and 1 window with 1 set of low-end windows and 1 low-end door. There is also to construct an outdoor shower near the staircase to the 2nd floor, and a slat doors to close off access to the AC units that are visible at this point. And the wood surround stall consists of spaced wood slats of eastern white cedar left to natural to the weather. So you can see down on the lower left illustration where the 2 doors and the 1 window are, that they're replacing those, and that they're hello.
Oh, hello.
Sorry, we lost the image. We lost Derek now?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. And then also for the unit 53/54, all right, we'll go back to this. So basically you can see the shape, the current shape of these windows and doors. So they're just upgrading it with new windows and doors. But on this unit in particular, which you cannot see from the roadway or from the entryway, it's far back. And the area you're looking at is facing east, and it goes into a whole dune area. When I was there, I could not even access this to even see it, to take photographs, but that's what we're doing. So they're replacing some doors and windows. They're putting up this slatted cedar, spaced wood slats left to natural and wood, which would hide the AC unit as well as the outdoor shower, and the staircase leads up to the 2nd story. And then for the next unit, unit 53/54, on the west elevation, they're replacing an existing door with an Anderson storm watch window. Derek, if you can go to the next one, please.
I think Derek just stepped out.
Okay, it's okay. On the eastern, they replaced the existing sliders and windows with a low-end storm force gliding doors and casement windows. The east elevation relocate existing code compliant light fixtures and replace cedar shingles in kind where needed. So basically what they're doing is upgrading some doors and windows, with the exception of adding this cedar shingle, slatted side to close off the shower, as well as some AC units. I don't see any problem with it. It's very well needed to upgrade these units. And I would like, unless anybody has any questions, to make a motion to approve these changes to the Driftwood Apartments, Unit 73 and 53 and 54. Can I get a second on that, Jonathan?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Chip?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, Jean, you're good to go.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
You're welcome. Have a nice evening.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Excuse me, Chair. With your permission,
Yep.
Betsy, as Derek stepped out for a moment, you want me to remove the screen sharing right now as you're going to move on?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, but we're going to keep going if we can.
Yeah,
Sure.
you can.
Okay. First National Bank of Long Island, tax map number 300-188-1-8.1, 100 Panico Place in East Hampton. Diane.
Yes, this is an application to install an outdoor walk-up ATM machine in a new bank that is going to occupy the space between Goldberg's and Aboff's paints.
Right.
The only thing they have applied to us for is this ATM. They have not given any specifications for signage or lighting or anything else. I called the architect and he said they are in the process of rebranding themselves, the First National Bank of Long Island. And he thought it was up to the owner, who happens to be Mr. Aboff, to determine the lighting. And if Derek was there, he could show, they gave us a very, very easy to see big rendering of what it will look like. I mean, you can't see anything now, and I took a picture of which you can't see anything now. I mean, we've never had I'm not aware that we've ever had an ATM machine come before us, but it seems pretty standard issue, and they've included all the cut sheets.
We're all familiar with that building, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Describe where they're putting this, and then we can maybe get an idea until Derek comes back.
When you pull up to Goldberg's or Avos Paint, there's a building in the middle. I think it used to be a liquor
the old video store.
Video store.
Hey, Derek. Yay.
Okay, it's the middle. What is the middle door?
Yep.
So the proposal is for First National Bank to put an ATM machine to the right of that middle door.
Okay.
And he would like to get our okay, and it be okay before they're rebranding their signage, and he has no other specifications right now, but they would like to move forward with our approval for this ATM machine.
Oh, it goes in the wall.
Their drawing.
Yes, it goes right into the exterior wall. That's all this application is for.
That's all it's for.
So Diane, I think you could move this forward.
Hey, Diane, one comment. I was there the other day and we had quite a few discussions about replacing the signage on 27, which they have never done.
But this has nothing to do with this application.
Well, it's
it
same
does.
owner, but yeah, okay.
Well, perhaps, I mean, they're going to have to come back for signage, and they're going to have to come back for lighting. I mean, you can't have an ATM machine in the dark. So,
right.
So
and Chip, to your point, I made the same note when last time I was over at Derek's office, that we had asked them to take those little ball
videos, yeah,
and they haven't. But the signage is okay.
The signage is temporary, though.
It's a canvas, tarp over the old sign.
Is it still the canvas one? Okay.
It's all temporary. Yep.
All right. Okay. All right. So, they haven't come back to us for us to go out there to approve it for a certificate of occupancy. So until we get it done.
So maybe this is all part and parcel when they come back for the C of O, Mr. Egboff.
Let's move this along. Go.
All right. I make a motion that we approve this application as presented.
Can I get a second, Chip?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, Jonathan?
Sure.
Esperanza?
Yes.
And Betsy, yes. Okay. Verizon at 106 Stephen Hans Path, tax map number 300-193-2-4, 106 Stephen Hans Path in Wainscott. And that is Diane Benson and Jonathan Foster.
This is an application to install a 110-foot utility cell tower, so desperately needed. It seems to us that many considerations have been given to the siting, and I will let Jonathan speak to the particulars.
Okay, but before Jonathan does, Esperanza, I want to just tell you that I spoke to Jonathan after you and I were looking for the location. It was further to the south, more closer to 27.
Oh, it was
past the ballpark.
Past the yes. Okay.
It's the first driveway from 27 on the left side.
Very, very.
I know exactly. Yeah. It's a little shack of a building there that they keep junk in. The town keeps whatever, and the area north of that shack looks like it's been cleared out. There's a lot of it's raw dirt and piles of dirt and so forth. So that may have been there for a long time, but it's cleared out, so it's not woods. And
did either you or Diane submit photos? Did you take any when you were there?
You took some. It was very cold.
Oh, I just took a picture of a tree.
No, that's not it. That's just for
this is not the site. Yeah. I took this because there was really
nothing to
the photos that they sent actually in the end are valuable because you can't really see this thing from anywhere. This is a tower. It's down the street there at the Green Fire Hall, the new one.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that is proposed is a cylinder. This you see is like an arrowhead. It's a rocket ship. It's about 8 or 10 feet at the bottom and I don't know what it is at the top. It gets smaller as it goes up. The one that's being proposed is 40 inches. It's a 3'6", 3'4", is it 40 inches? It goes up just vertically, so it's one like a straw going straight up.
So
And
Eric, let's go through the images that the applicant supplied so the board can see it. And basically what we're reviewing is what, Denise?
Hi, good evening. Denise
Hi.
Vista with the Model Law Group. So my understanding is just from past applications that the board weighs in on the color of the pole.
Mhm.
And as Jonathan had mentioned, it is a stealth pole, so all the antennas are concealed within.
Mhm.
To the planning board, we presented both a brown pole and a white pole and gave them the option, but they did not render that as part of their decision and left it up to the ARB to decide.
The thing is, it was tricky to see that what the brown and the white one were in most cases, but basically, isn't the normal color that's used on these things is just an off-white, very pale bluish gray, something like that?
It really depends on the location and the board, but oftentimes they're white. We do have several brown poles, which we suggested here due to the location within the dense woods. But I mean, frankly, I think either one with its location, I mean, as you can see here in photo 6, that's the white pole. And frankly,
That's the white one?
Yeah, it's in the middle of the screen.
Yeah,
if you
I
go
see.
to, there's arrows pointing. So originally we proposed a 120-foot pole, but as a concession in dealing with the planning board, we lowered it to 110. So you see the ball, the red ball in the center there, that was the 120-foot pole.
Yeah, right. So it's lower than that.
Exactly.
Let me just ask a question. We have approved a few of these, and my recollection has always been that we tried to stay more with a steel color, similar to what a steel pole would be, versus having a darker pole or a whiter pole. Do we have that option here?
They're not presented in these photo simulations, no, because
No, but I'm saying, do we have the option to have a silver type pole like we do down at the fire station on Stevenhans?
Yes, it is my understanding. And just typically most boards don't want that. So we don't often present that. So I could definitely.
But most of the ones in East Hampton are
yeah. And I mean, imagine a brown one.
Well, those are typically the monopoles. Those are exposed antennas, but oftentimes the stealth or the concealed poles, they're often white and are meant to resemble flagpoles a lot of the times. Otherwise, it's just a slender profile. So as you can see here, the white, I mean, frankly, it blends in with the sky. Like I said,
the gray would blend in better, I think.
It would blend in better, I agree.
Does everybody on the board agree about that? Because if we do, why don't we can just ask Denise to go back and see if that's an option for us.
Yeah, I don't see it being an option. It can be painted any color you want, or are you looking for the steel of the pole?
Yeah, then you don't have to paint it and you don't have the paint maintenance.
Paint it or maintain it.
Yeah, that I don't see any issue with that.
Okay, so why don't we, all right, David, how do we do this? Can we make a motion to approve the stainless?
They should come back with a color sample.
Oh,
right.
Well, but I'm not sure the color. It's just the metal of the structure.
Natural metal of the.
Natural metal.
Which would look more like that container.
Right.
Right.
And sometimes they're even a little bit lighter. They're
a little
more
lighter than that, a little more blue, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the white one look better?
They all look ugly. I'm sorry.
But it's part of, the 21st century. It's
yes, it is.
Modern
Exactly.
life.
I mean, you could make it look like a tree if you really wanted to put it in.
That went out of style a while ago.
Yeah. So, David, can you guide us how we can do this to move this along?
I actually, if I may just interject, I just confirmed with Verizon. I just sent them a text with my consultants, and that is fine. We can go with steel gray.
All right, so that's what we'll approve is a steel gray. Okay, all right. Diane, do you want to go ahead and make a motion?
Or Jonathan, do you want to make the motion?
Either one.
Okay, well, we make a motion that to approve this application as presented with the understanding that we've all agreed on a steel gray color.
All right, and Jonathan, can you second that?
I second that, yes, thank
Okay,
you.
all in favor, Chip?
Yes.
And Esperanza?
Aye.
Great, and Betsy, aye. All right, Denise, thanks so much, and thanks for reaching out to them so we can move this forward.
Yes, thank you all so much. Have a nice evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
South Fork Wind, tax map number, oh, I don't have it.
No
on-
tax map number.
No tax map number. That would be Cove Hollow Road, which is the PSE&G facility substation. Is there anyone on the line?
Yes, good evening.
Her name
Hi,
came
Robert.
up.
There you go.
Hi, my name is Robert Mastria. I'm a development director with Orsted. I'm also joined by John Case, who is the director of siting and permitting from Eversource. And if we can let him into the meeting, we also have Len Singer from Couch White, who is our Article 7 attorney. We are also working with Liz Vale as a local attorney, but we lost her to the Sag Harbor ARB meeting tonight.
Okay.
I believe I'm on, just double checking.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So basically, if you'll give, let me ask you this. Esperanza, do you have an application there that you can read into the record?
It's
That
not
would be
really
good.
an application. We have a letter to you regarding the ARB being consulted on this noise barrier wall that would enclose this proposed, what is it called? The
substation.
Substation.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Which is on 2.38 acres just north of the existing substation at Cove Hollow Road.
Right. And for anyone who's listening, this is for the cable that's coming from the wind farm that will come up underneath to this area. And this is all the equipment, which will, I'm going to let Robert or John talk the technical for a few seconds, and then we'll just get into why we're here, which is really more to pick out a pattern for the molded wall, which is about, what is it? Is it 10 or 11 feet?
The design basis is 12 feet. What we've shown in these images here is 11 feet, 6 inches.
Okay. And also the color. So that's what the board is being asked to comment on. Okay?
If I may, I did prepare a short presentation if I can share my screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Please let me know if you can see that.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, as you just mentioned, our request to the board is as a part of our Article 7 state permit process. South Fork Wind agreed to consult with the Architectural Review Board on the exterior finish and color of the interconnection facility surround wall. So we would appreciate your feedback on both of those points and appreciate you letting us participate in the meeting this evening. Just a brief overview before we jump into it. The wind farm is approximately 132 megawatts, which will be located 35 miles east of Montauk Point. The cable landing will be on Beach Lane in Wainscott and will travel north along town roads to the intersection with the Long Island Railroad and then travel east to the existing substation. It will power 70,000 Long Island homes per year and is expected to be in operation in 2023. This is just an overview map giving you an idea of where we are in Wainscott. This is Georgica Pond right here, if you can see my cursor. And the interconnection facility is going to be adjacent to the existing LIPA East Hampton substation off Cove Hollow Road. So this is a survey drawing of the existing site that, along with the South Fork Wind interconnection facility area that we have an option to lease. The East Hampton substation is to the east off of Cove Hollow Road. There's the existing peaker generation facility here. a new battery storage or a battery energy storage facility here, and we would be built to the west of the existing infrastructure. And to give you a better overview, here's an aerial map of the current area. The battery storage facility isn't in this figure. So I will now turn it over to John to walk us through the details of the surround wall.
Sure, thanks, Rob. So as you can see here, the substation itself is roughly 220 feet by 330 feet, and the wall would go around the entire substation. It is intended to provide some visual screening as well as noise improvement for the neighbors. As Rob mentioned, the design basis is a maximum of 12 feet. What's shown here is 11 feet 6 inches, and the only break in that would be at the northeast corner of that, where there's an entry gate that would not be this same texture, but the rest of the station is surrounded by this.
What would the gate be?
Chain link. It would be regular chain link.
Is there any lighting?
There will be emergency lighting in the station. We will have to, as part of our phase of the Article 7 process, put together a lighting plan that'll get reviewed and approved.
Okay.
We have been encouraged to obviously minimize lighting, and it will be used during emergency work only at night, not on.
Great. All right. And did you give Derek digital files on what we can look at with regards to the pattern or design for the wall?
Yeah, if you go to the next slide, there are a couple of options here for your review. I did talk with the vendor. They have many, but obviously these are some of the more popular ones. But
right. So these six, with the first six, are less textured than the second set that just popped up, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Esperanza and I were out looking at the site, we were looking at this, and we felt that the least amount of texture for this wall would be better. But I'd like to ask the board if, it's like throwing a dart at something and trying to figure this out. But if there's an agreement that we like the less texture, this versus the next group, Derek, then we can focus on the first group.
Yeah, let's focus on the first group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jonathan and Chip?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost 12 feet tall and 200 feet long, right?
That's huge.
Well, 330, yeah.
And a little bit of texture is kind of helpful.
Yes.
But too much, I think it becomes
not Pennsylvania stone, so it looks like a penitentiary, you mean?
Yeah.
It looks like our new underpass in East.
This is a landlocked piece of property right around the corner from me. No one ever sees it except if you take the train. And when you go by on the train, it's shocking, the scale and what's actually back there. But the reality is, if you're not on the train, you're never going to see this.
Right. But we still have to pick something out. So let me ask John or Robert, who's ever, area of expertise this is in. Based on these six, have you obviously see this stuff all the time. Is there one more popular than the other that you could give us guidance and we could, move that through to see where that's at?
So in rural areas such as this, the alpine stone is that sort of a subtle stone finish, does tend to be a popular one. There are, I was going to say, there's some pictures of full walls that might give you a little better sense. Yeah, I don't know if that's any helpful. No. And there's one more beyond that shows the smoother
one on
walls.
the right?
The right. I like the one on the left.
Or even the one on the left, either one, but I just don't like those panels.
Yeah, these fake stones are horrible looking.
Yeah,
how about a stucco finish?
Yeah. The railroad trellis that was just recently built in the village. I mean, that's
it's horrible.
Horrible. I know, it looks like the LIE. So number 150, I think is that 50 or 60? This
150.
150
Stucco?
stucco. Yeah.
I like that. Do you
Yeah, I
like
like that too, yeah.
What about chiseled limestone? What does that look
Yeah,
like?
I like the words chiseled limestone.
I'm into the chiseled limestone.
Let me ask this, would it be possible to have like a small sample of either one of them dropped off?
A small sample isn't going to do anything, you know. We're talking about a massive.
Yeah.
What are the pictures of the other?
Yeah, I don't believe any of those are represented in the pictures. What I can do is ask the vendor to provide if they have an example of this on an actual wall
On
to
site,
help
yeah.
with the chiseled limestone and the stucco.
Stucco, okay.
That would be great.
Right, and then the going into the colors, Esperanza and I felt that the top two to the left, either the khaki, which is more of a warmer color, or the other greener khaki, which actually in real life, not on the computer screen, looks to be more taupe, not green.
So the one in the upper left and
both the khakis.
one's right upper left and one right next to it to the right. Yeah,
I can't say that
But
word.
what I'm trying to say is that the khaki shade is like a more warmer color than what it's showing on the computer. And the khaki is more of a taupe color. It's not green at all.
Yeah, when we were on site, we looked at the paper, this on paper, and
Right, the color card.
it was a little more, more.
What kind of weeds? What kind of vegetation is there right now?
There's not too much, but there are a lot of deciduous trees with bark, and that's a good point because what Esperanza and it was like there was a weathered wood, wall of, like sort of a stockade fencing, and it looked more like the khaki. But the khaki shade looked more like the sort of bark of the wood of the trees.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
I preferred the khaki shade personally. Yeah. I thought the lighter of it and the warmer would be better than something more taupey and more like weathered wood. But it's one half dozen or the other with this.
Whatever blends in with the oak trees would be the most advantageous.
That would be the khaki shade. And I think the color on the computer screen is more representative. So.
Okay, I think it's fine.
So let me ask this. Is it possible if they do submit those two samples, can they submit them in the khaki shade?
I will certainly see if they can do that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And if they can, great. And if they can't, you'll come back to us and let us know, and we can make a motion to, approve one or the other. We'll pull the board and majority rules. Is this holding you up in any way? I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Our next meeting is on February 11th. So if you can put the samples in, I don't know how they're going to be, but if they're large and you can only get one or two, we'll just have the board members come by and take a look at it at Derek's office.
Or Betsy, or what he suggested, I think, was pictures of like a wall, an actual wall that they've done.
Yeah, right. Right, like a color render, right, like a computer color rendering, whatever works. So the week before the 11th, which would be the Thursday before, so would be what, the 4th, right? Of February. If you could have that submitted to Derek by noon on Thursday, the 7th, we'll put you on for the next meeting for the 11th. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So we narrowed it down to 2 and 2.
Good.
Or actually, no, the khaki shade.
Khaki shade, right?
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation and good luck.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. I'm just going to make a note.
So is that tabled is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's tabled. Thank you. And we're going to do the khaki shade.
Chiseled limestone and stucco, or stucco.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, fences, walls, and berms. Anthony Amarato has postponed. I hope he's okay. And Anna Levy Investment, which is tax map number 300-39-7-1349 Camberley Road. Diane.
Yes, this application has been before us before. Mr. Rossi has asked us to approve a 6-foot gate, which is actually 74 inches with 76-inch posts. It's very well built. It's very nice, but it is so out of character with the neighborhood that it's just unbelievable. Derek, could you show the pictures? Now, this is the gate itself. It's, as I said, it's nicely made. It's nicely done. It is the only gate and fence on the entire, in any direction on Clearwater Beach. Can you show us some more pictures, Derek, please?
So it looks like it would be very easily to be cut. It looks like it's in 3 quarters.
It's not so much the height. Oh, and these lights.
But the height's over 6 feet.
Okay, the height is slightly over 6 feet. Let me just finish.
Okay.
The lights have never been applied for. They've just appeared. Derek, more pictures, please. And you can see in either direction, as far as you can see, there's nothing else. And so this man not only has this fence and gate for some reason, which is beyond his property line. More pictures.
So the gate itself is not in the property.
Yes, and then we have this, you see these little orange hardware sticks. They're all along, 1 foot apart from one another, so that even if a kid was on his bike, he couldn't pull over if he had to. It just doesn't, it is so out of character with the neighborhood. And Mr. Rossi is very, he's very insistent about everything. And there's a lot of communication back and forth with our various town officials that he seems to know. But it's sort of conspicuous in its lack of conformity to the neighborhood, and it's very unfriendly. So at least I think it should be that the top.
It's illegal, right? Right now, it's not even on his property.
We tried to go back. This has been before us before. And he, I think he has convinced us at another meeting that he had gotten approval from the highway department. There was lots of conversation about this already, but he has gone ahead and he has built this now. You can see on the survey, Derek, can you show the survey?
We can't approve it if it's not on his property.
Well, yeah. I know, but okay.
That's what we've said, and then highway department comes in and says, "Oh no, it's
exactly."
Okay.
Other people.
But we don't know for a fact that the highway department said that, do we?
Does he have a letter?
He has.
It doesn't. That still doesn't change the fact that we're not able to approve it, even if he has a letter.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can't approve it.
So let me ask you this, David McMaster. Since this was before us a year ago and nothing's changed and now a year later it's back to us, can we just deny this application?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can.
And you're not here to discuss it?
What?
Is there a representative there to discuss it?
No. Well, let me ask Michael, is there anybody on the line for this, Michael?
There are a few callers on hold, but we can go through and see if we can find one pertaining to this.
All right, be Mr. Rossi.
I'll unmute the first caller I see with the number 3066 is the last 4 of their phone.
Oh, this is the one with the...
Hello, caller with the last 4 digits 3066. Are you there? Hearing nothing, Chair, I'll move on. There are a few callers on hold. Oh, wait.
Wait.
We'll go back. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Hello.
Yes.
Could you please identify yourself?
Ivan Rossi.
Okay.
I found a communication from March 5th, 2020 to Joseph Palermo Joe, the highway department is okay with the fence at 49 Camberley Drive.
Yes, Diane, that has absolutely no authority to grant.
Okay, good. Great.
Yes, it does not, because your board only has jurisdiction over that which is in a tax map. So it's outside the tax map. You can't give away town property. So it's unconstitutional to do that. So you can't give it away.
That is incorrect. The last.
No, it actually is correct, sir. I'm an attorney for the town, and I'm telling you that it is, although the highway department has granted you the ability to disturb that area if you need to, the town cannot give away town property.
And it's over code.
I have spoken, and I think you have an email from Joanne Pilgrim, which is of Peter, the town supervisor.
Joanne Pilgrim also cannot give away town property.
You were okay. You were okay with the gate. You were okay with the gate. You said you cannot approve it until the town does not give me an authorization to have the gate on the town right, which I did have the last meeting we had.
The town has to. The highway
So
department
the gate
cannot give you that. Sir, the highway department cannot give you permission to have
with the
town
highway
property.
department.
Excuse me?
It has nothing to do with the highway department. It has to do with the town.
Who in the town gave you
I was
permission
approved to have the
town
gate
property?
town right.
Excuse me?
By whom?
I'm sorry. At whom?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Who do you say gave you permission to have town property?
Peter Van Foya gave me the permission.
No, I have a lot of communication here, Peter.
Peter Van Foya
to the ARB. All of
Diane, is anything in that show that the town of East Hampton has given this man this property?
No. No,
Then-
I have a lot of communication of this man and Joanne Pilgrim saying, please see below his intent to follow through with the ARB process. They're acknowledging that he has.
Joanne Pilgrim sent me an email which had I printed out and over to Derek saying that I am allowed to have the gate on the town right.
You have the right to have a gate on your own property if it's approved by ARB. You do not have, this board does not have the authority to grant you approval for a structure on town property.
Nancy Lynn, can I ask
you said a survey?
Wait, excuse me. Whoa. Nancy Lynn, can I ask a favor? Nancy, please, can we table this and ask David to look into this and we can.
We have looked into this. We've had discussions with Ann Glennon. We've had discussions with John Jilnicki. We've had discussions with the town board. And it is clear that it is unconstitutional under New York State law for us to allow for private structures to be placed with town approval on town property. We cannot give away town assets without compensation. It is unconstitutional to do that.
So we're denying the application, please.
You don't have jurisdiction. You don't have jurisdiction to approve something that's not on his property.
So what do we do?
Do you
After deny it, you don't have jurisdiction.
Do you record?
I'm gonna move this along. We're gonna deny the application.
We deny the application.
Okay. Next, Lindsay Schultz, tax map number 300-90-2-1-520 Phoebe Scoys Road. And that would be Chip.
Out here.
David McMaster and I had a conversation about this application today. The applicant has submitted 2 surveys that are illegible. And without the ability to read the surveys, we don't feel that we can really look at this application. The surveys appear to be dated 2005, though they're so murky, I don't even know that. So I think we'd like to ask the applicant to resubmit surveys that we can actually read.
Okay, so I'm going to
I
take.
did talk to the applicant after our conversation, and she is going to provide an updated survey and
Great.
come back when she gets that.
Great.
Perfect.
Perfect. All right, so I'm tabling this. Okay. Andrew Peter Sumner and Gabriel McNair Sumner, tax map number 300-74-4-7, 22 Scallop Avenue has been postponed. Jeffrey Van Raydonk, somebody give me a hand with that.
Raymdonk.
Raymdonk, thank you.
Yep.
Tax map number 300-55-1-28 .28, 23 Bering East Road. Chip.
Wow. This is a 1.6 acre property on a flag lot off a cul-de-sac deep in the woods by Cedar Point Park. The applicant seeks approval for relocating deer fence, which we approved in August 2020, but the deer fence encroached on a scenic easement. He has relocated that deer fence, so it is now outside of the scenic easement. It's 8 feet tall with metal stakes, professionally installed. I see every reason to approve this as the application states.
Okay, can you make a motion then, please?
Yes, I'd like to instruct staff to inform the building department that this property is ready for a C of O.
Okay, can I get a second on that, Diane?
Second.
All in favor, Jonathan?
Yes.
Esperanza?
Sorry to be the stickler.
I think that was the wrong motion.
Too late.
Where is the 8 foot deer fence? I'm sorry, I wasn't clear.
He put deer fencing up around the back of the house.
Just in the rear yard?
What? He put up deer fencing to surround a small area of the property by the swimming pool, and some of it encroached on a easement. You can see where he's relocated the fence.
Okay, I have a recollection of this now. Okay, all right, thank you. I just wanted to be clear on what I'm voting on. So, okay, fine, yes.
Okay, and Betsy, yes. Did I miss anybody? Diane, did you?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So on your agenda, you see 8 Osborne Farm, which we took care of. Okay, Ann Barton, 52 Cedar Ridge Drive, tax map number 300-94-3-12. Jonathan.
This is out in Springs off of 3 Mile Harbor Road area. This is a house. There's some pictures I sent in. Derek, do you want to put those up? It's for a fence to go along the front of the house, along the road, and then up the side of the driveway. These pictures, it's hard to tell exactly, but I believe that the property line is approximately where that those railroad ties are that go along the front is where the property line is. So those plants and the railroad ties in front of them are in the town property, and then the grasses. So I think that this first step, a lot of the first step is on town land. So I'm not sure. I couldn't find any markers, but the telephone poles are probably on town land, and they are in line with the.
Right. Is there a survey for this?
There's a survey that we got, a survey.
From the survey, it looks like the fence is outside of the property line.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So the proposed fence where all the little X's are all out next to the road, outside of the property, and then they go up. So I don't see what we can say to them except that it's not on the property line. Resubmit it.
Right? Do we have a caller on for this application, Michael? Ann Barton?
We have 3 callers on hold, and I can go through them one at a time and see who pertains to this.
Okay.
What size fence are they proposing?
It's a 4-foot fence made out of it's a white 4-foot scalloped kind of fence that goes along.
So why are they before us if it's a 4-foot fence?
But
it's good they are.
Yeah, it's good they are, I guess, yeah.
Well, yeah, great, but
My notes say that they were proposing a 6-foot white PVC gate and fence.
Okay, yeah. That's it, 6 foot, all right, so.
But the gate is 4 feet.
Yeah.
You mean the fence?
No, you see it says gate 4 feet?
That the fence is.
Oh, yeah.
You still can't
It
put
says
it there.
grade, not gate.
Well, I'm very confused.
What other,
Still,
what
it's
other,
4 feet. Why are we here?
well, let's go through. What else did you have there, Derek, from the applicant?
That's it.
Excuse me, Chair, would you like me to see if we can find that caller, if there's
Yeah.
one?
Derek, wasn't there another page of illustrations of gates and fences that they wrote on? Yes, there we go. If you can scroll that up. Didn't she mark what she wanted with some kind of notation?
Yeah.
Yes, scallop tuck picket gate has a little star.
Right. And if it's 4 feet that she wants, what does it say on the application, Jonathan? The height?
I have the
all
application
these,
in front
all
of me.
these say 4 feet. Yeah.
It says the height is with railroad ties is over 4 feet. Proposed fence 6 feet max.
So meaning that if they put it on top of the railroad ties of 4 foot, it's gonna be 6 feet above the grade, correct?
Well, above the grade of the road.
Right.
But
So let me ask you this, David. If they were to put this 4 foot fence on top of the grade above the railroad ties, is it still a 4 foot fence, or is it 6 if it's from the grade of in front of the railroad ties?
Your question is if it's built on top of the railroad ties?
Yeah.
It would be the height of the railroad ties and the fence.
Right.
Okay, so it's over 4 feet, so that's why they would need approval, but where they're placing it is not on their property, so let's.
Yeah, it's off the property line.
So should we table this if we don't have anybody on the phone?
That's my recommendation.
Excuse me,
Michael,
Chair,
is there
it's-
anybody
yes.
there for this?
Chair, there are 3 callers on hold. I don't know who they are. We'd have to go through them individually.
Okay, let's see if we have somebody.
Okay.
For 52 Cedar Ridge.
The first caller I'm going to unmute. The last 4 digits of their phone are 1891. Unmuting now.
Good evening. It's John Collier for 11 Saddle.
You're
He's
next.
the next one.
Yeah, hang in there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Moving on, the next caller's last 4 digits are 8470. I'm sorry, that caller just hung up. The last one would be 7606. Unmuting now.
Yeah, Sandra Broran for Fernwood.
Not this one.
For which one?
Who's this for?
That's,
That's
Brookwood,
after
one
John
Brookwood.
Drew. Yeah, Andrew, you have a couple more. We'll be with you in a few minutes, okay?
No problem. Thank you very much.
All right,
Sure,
thank
there
you.
are
So
no
we're
other
gonna
callers.
table, what?
There are no other
I'm sorry.
callers.
You have no other callers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I am tabling 52 Cedar Ridge. Thank you, Jonathan. All right, John Collier, who was just called in, 11 Saddle Lane.
I'll unmute that caller now.
Hello, good evening to the board.
Good evening, John. How are you tonight?
Good, thank you. You?
Good, we're good. Chip, if you
Okay,
could
so
read into
I
the.
just wanted to, oh, sorry, I just wanted to start by apologizing 2 weeks ago for the audio issues. I was on the call, but you couldn't hear me, so I'm terribly sorry that we had to table it and delay.
All right, well, we can hear you now, so welcome. Chip, if you could read into the record what the application is for.
Right, so this application was before us at our last meeting, and in part, we approved a lattice-style driveway gate and stone piers that hold the gate up. The issue is that the entire property is fenced in, and I've talked to John, and I've visited the site with him, And tonight we're going to try and figure out what to do with this deer fencing. The deer fencing to the back of the property is not his. It's a mishmash of different neighbors who have fenced in their properties, which makes a big U around his back of his house. He in turn has fenced in the front of the property with deer fencing, 8-foot high deer fencing that has been recently added to the front and the sides going roughly back to the front facade of the house. And the issue tonight is how we deal with this totally fenced in property. John's prepared a little presentation. I think I'll let him give his presentation.
Okay, John? Great. Thank you very much, Chip. Thank you, Chip. Could you pull that up for us, please, Eric?
We can see it.
It was a file sent saying additional images.
We're looking at it.
Thank you so much.
You may see it too.
Thank you. So as Chip was saying, the property, let me give you a background. So in 2015, we purchased this home and we relocated from New York to East Hampton almost 4 years ago. We have, my husband and I have 4-year-old twins. And one of the primary reasons to put fencing at the front for deer fencing was within the first year of us being here, our children received, one of them had a tick bite. So we were concerned about the health and safety of the kids as we moved out here permanently. The fencing, the only fencing that we have put up ourselves is the front fencing where the gate is. And we didn't, obviously, the area we purchased is the woods, so we wanted to conceal that. So we took the expense of putting in 70 white pines across to conceal the deer fence so that it still looks like the woods and the beautiful space that it is. And then the builder had put up a fence around the pool, right tight to the pool patio, and that was to get the C of O. And then what we did was put in a 4-foot pool fence around the perimeter on our property to get code to remove that, so we could enjoy the land without a fence right on our pool. And so I think the fundamental issue that we have here is the property is previously fenced in on the 3 sides, so the back and the 2 sides, and this is the presentation I put together. So that first page just shows our gate that we've already discussed and the inside of the deer fence, and you can see all the pines that we planted. One of the things we've noticed with the pines, and you guys when you were out to see it, pines drop, the bottom needles drop, and the bottom branches drop if you don't trim them. So 3 times a year we trim the top to try to keep it full, because if you didn't have a deer fence, the deer would still get through the pines because of the issue on the type of plant it is. If you go to the next page, please, Derek.
We're there, John.
There's a lag here, guys. You're sitting there. Okay, great. What I tried to do here,
John, excuse me for 1 minute, please. Can I just interrupt so I understand what's going on from the first page? How tall is that white gate, and is there pillars there? I can't see them through the.
Betsy, we approved that last week.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Is there any lighting on that?
No.
And
No.
What is it? A 5-foot gate?
The gates are 6 feet and the posts are just a tad over 6 feet.
They are 6 feet. Okay. Okay. And how tall is the fencing in the front?
The fencing's 8 feet.
Yeah, the fencing it is 8 feet. It's like anywhere between 6.5 because the land slopes down, 6.5 to 8. But it is an 8-foot fence that was put up and it's on a slope.
Well, that has to come down to 6. You can't have anything above 6 on the front.
Okay. We would just off the record. We said that we didn't know that, and our contractor put up the fence. So we're willing to cut it down and pay to get it cut down to 6 feet to be the code. And then I wanted to share the fence images from the back just so everyone understands what the back looks like, because you were concerned that the whole thing was fenced. These are all pre-existing fences on the 3 sides, and they're on the neighbors' properties. The one in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the 4-foot black fence that we put in, the new one, to be pool compliant. And behind is a deer fence with white poles. That's higher. Again, that is on, it ranges from 6 to 8 feet, and that is on the neighbor's property to the left of us. The rear fence is on the lower left-hand side, and that's actually the mismatch portion that Chip was talking about. This is the one where you can see our black fence that's there on our property for the pool, but the neighbor's deer fence is quite high, and it's crumbling. And on top of that, they recently put up a plastic shield, like a almost like a screening on their side.
That what's,
and so that's
what's just beyond that post?
Yes, and that is like creating weight and it's like fake boxwood, exactly right. But it's like a plastic that gets zip tied to the deer fence. It's not very aesthetic, and of course, in the Northwest Woods, we like the trees, so we're not happy with it. But it's not on our property, and that's not the topic tonight. And then on the bottom right-hand side is the pre-existing side neighbor fence, which is a stockade fence, relatively new because it had broken, so they just replaced it. And they have probably 12 inches on top of a 4-foot with a bit of deer fence. But the 3 fences on the side were pre-existing and not installed by us. The only one that was at the front. That is 8 feet.
John, can I make a suggestion just to move this along? So I don't see an easy way for John to reopen up his property by allowing less fencing. But I think, John, we're going to require that you cut down the fencing, anything in front of the front facade of the house, which is most of your new fencing, has to be cut down to 6 feet. And the back fencing isn't yours, so we can't really deal with that directly.
But the back part is his fencing, but there's fencing behind that.
Well, it's 4-foot fencing.
Yeah, right.
So might I suggest that the front be 4-foot fencing instead of 6 feet?
Well, wait a minute, before we move any further, my notes from last meeting is that this was tabled.
It was tabled because John couldn't get on the phone.
I understand, but we didn't make an approval of that gate. You said we approved it.
I thought we approved the gate.
But you can't approve anything until you make an emotion to approve it, but we tabled it. I'm not saying we're not, I'm being technical, that's all. So if we are going to move forward with this, we have to approve the gate. That wasn't approved and even in the minutes, it says that this was tabled.
All right. Okay.
So Esperanza, I'm sorry, you were saying.
I was just saying that I would suggest if you're going to cut it down lower than 6 feet in the front.
I agree.
Since the whole yard is enclosed, even if it's not by this applicant.
If it's 4 feet, it won't affect the deer at all. I mean,
I know, but it's just trees. There's screening. It's not.
Wait. I meant to say to the owner, John, that it doesn't matter whether it's 8 feet or 4 feet. The deer are not going to go through with all the trees you have in front of it.
They're just pines.
Right,
it's just his point.
Right. The issue is the pines, and you can see on the picture before where when the needles fall and the branches don't grow, the deer can easily duck under it. So
yeah. Well,
if the code is 6 feet and we're able to put a 6-foot deer fence, we're certainly willing to cut that down.
Chip, you've been up there. What's your take on this?
Who?
Chip, you've been up there. So
yeah,
does it matter whether it's 4 or 5?
The gates are 6 feet. We really can't deal with the fact that his whole property is fenced in because it's just the way it is. I would recommend that we let him cut the 8-foot deer fencing down to the height of the gates, 6 feet. All the new fencing that he's added in the front and the front sides,
right,
and call it a day.
And when you're in the front of his property facing it, do you see any of that fencing through the?
You see none of it because the white pines have totally covered it.
Okay. Well, if you'd like to make a motion, we'll see how the board votes. But you've got to include the gate with it.
Okay, I would make a motion that we approve the lattice gates at 6 feet and the posts that hold them up at 6 feet, and request that the applicant reduce the height of the deer fencing in front of the front facade of the house, which is across the front and the two sides, cutting it and the posts down to a maximum of 6 feet.
Can I get a second, Jonathan?
Sure.
All in favor? Diane?
Yes.
Esperanza?
Yes.
And Betsy, yes. Okay.
Good to go, John.
Thank
So,
you very
John,
much, guys. I appreciate it.
What happens next is once you have that fencing in the front cut down, you'll need to come back to us. If you want your certificate of occupancy, we will come out and make another site inspection before that so that we can make sure that you've cut everything down to the resolution. Okay?
Okay, great. Is there any time, is it time bound? When does it need to be done by?
I think the resolution is good for how many years, Derek?
3 years, I think.
Resolution for 3 years. After 3 years, extension of time.
Okay, right. Thank you guys very much for your time.
Yeah, and I'd suggest you do it sooner than later. Because literally
Yeah.
you're above code at 8 feet in the front. So you could get a code violation if you don't do it quicker.
Okay, thank you very much, guys.
You're
I'll move on it with speed.
Great, thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
You too. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I just want to make one note. I'm running out of ink. John Jordan, tax map number 300-176-8-7, 103 Marine Boulevard in Amagansett. Michael, is there anyone on for this application?
I believe so.
We know that
yes.
Andrew's for the next one, but we're looking for someone else, not
I believe
Andrew.
So I'll unmute the caller right now with the last 4 digits, 5803.
Mannix.
That's Brian Mannix.
Great. Hi,
And
Brian.
the architect's on as well. Hi there.
Oh, good.
Excuse me, sir, did you say the architect is on the phone as well?
Yeah, he's on another line on hold.
Okay, Chair, there are 2 other callers on hold. Do you want me to just find that person real quick?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to unmute the next caller I see with the last 4 digits, 8470.
Yes, how you doing? Fred through. Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Brian, is that your Chris?
I'm here, Brian Mannix.
Right.
Rick?
And is the other
Rick
person
Drew?
that we're looking?
Could you spell your
Hello,
last name?
Fred through.
And is Fred, Brian, who are you waiting to call in?
I think he said the
Are you
architect.
speaking to me? Brian
I'm
Mannix.
speaking to
and Fred
Brian
Through.
Mannix.
Oh, there it is.
Who are you looking to call in? What's the name of the person?
Jordan, the Jordan resident.
No, Fred Through, the architect, is on the line.
Is that your
Yes.
architect from through?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Have you read the tax map?
I did, and if you could
Oh,
read
okay.
into the record what this is for, please.
Yes, this is an application that has been before us before to install a 6-foot motorized gate that appeared to be quite heavy in its appearance when we reviewed it at the last meeting. This application is, this gate is on the streetscape in a very sort of beach housey neighborhood with no gates, certainly no motorized gates anywhere in either direction. So this would be the first one. but we must treat this streetscape like the backyard because this house faces the ocean. So, so it's a—
Diane, if I could just interrupt, we actually had an opportunity to speak to Ann Glennon about that issue earlier in the week, and that exception only applies to bodies of water that are not the Atlantic Ocean. So we can actually treat this specific application as a normal application that's not located on the water. So
but I think it is on the ocean, isn't it?
But no,
so I'm saying that we can consider, if the property's on the ocean, the front yard is the street side. That the rule that we thought applied last time this application was before us, in fact, only applies to properties located on bodies of water that are not the ocean. So like a bay or a pond.
Oh,
interesting. Okay, all right.
That's
So it's
very
his front yard.
So the ocean doesn't count.
No.
That's correct.
Well, this is a new take. Okay, well, then therefore, technically, it doesn't have to be technically. So this gate is being requested for the streetscape or the front yard.
Right.
In a neighborhood where there are none. Now, what I received today was this same elevation of the proposed gate with some penciled in. So maybe the architect or Mr. Mannix would like to explain to us how they're what they're proposing now to alleviate the massiveness of the gate. And I also would like to say, okay, but let me say one more thing. And I took pictures of this, Derek. Astride of the driveway, there are 8-foot black poles holding 7-foot mesh deer fences. And now that this is the front yard, that is absolutely, that has to go too, or has to be, you can see them.
That's above code.
Yeah, the posts are a good 8 feet and the mesh fence is a good 7 feet. And so, and the gate is to be located where you see that wooden box beyond these poles. So if you could explain to us now what you're proposing for the gate, gentlemen?
Sure. Yes, Fred Through, architect. So at the last ARB meeting, I guess one of the conversations was that it appeared to be a moving wall, that it was far too solid in its massing. So the gate has been redesigned and is now currently about 55% transparent in its fully closed position. It is 6 foot at the post. The posts are both 6 foot high. They both mirror what the exterior of the house is, and the gate is just slightly under that at about 5'10" and a half.
Do we have an image
the evergreens
of that?
You do.
We
yes.
only have drawings. We only have drawings.
And what, can we look at those, please, Derek? The new drawings?
So you're saying what we're seeing now is a 55% transparent gate.
Correct.
It doesn't look very
Doesn't look
transparent to me.
55% transparent to me either.
It consists of 2.5 inch high. So first of all, it's a sliding gate, so it has a metal frame. It's a cantilevered system because the driveway slopes up slightly, so the doors couldn't swing in, the gates couldn't swing in. So it's a sliding gate. It slides open to the east, so it slides back into the evergreen trees on the easterly side of it. But when it's in the closed position, it is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 2.5 inch high pieces of cedar, which are finishing the street side of the metal frame that allows for the cantilevered gate to work. So 10 times 2, it's 30 inches of solid mass in a 6 foot height. So 40.
The drawing is misleading.
Yes, I think that's what's going on here, but there's really, it's 55% transparent.
Diane, may I make a mention? It's
Sure.
6 feet. It's stone pillars. It's in an environment that's near the ocean, near the beach. You're saying that there's no other gates in the area. We start approving a 6-foot gate there.
I agree.
How are we going to say no to everybody else?
I
So
agree.
my suggestion to Brian and Fred is to go back to Mr. Jordan and explain to him our positioning, that we also have worked with many residents who come before us with a 6-foot gate, and we suggest that they can keep their design elements, but they reduce it to 4 feet. They don't need ARB approval, and these gates look lovely. They don't look unfriendly. They don't look overbearing. They look lovely. So I would seriously recommend that you go back to your owner and ask him if he would consider doing a 4-foot gate. You don't have to come before us, but we definitely have to deal with the large posts and deer fencing on the property. Does anybody else have anything that they want to add to what I just said?
Totally agree.
Esperanza?
Yes, I agree, because people are spending a lot of money to incarcerate themselves.
That's another way to put it.
You mentioned that the posts were stone, I believe, unless I misheard you. Maybe
they're shingle.
They're shingles, correct.
Okay, regardless, it doesn't matter either way. It's still 6 feet that I think this board is very reluctant to approve for that property in that area and in that neighborhood.
Agreed.
And reducing to a 5-foot fence or anything shorter than 4 foot?
I think it all should be down to 4, and you don't need our approval. But you're going to get a code violation for that deer fencing if you don't knock it down to 4.
Okay, I'll bring that to the owner's attention.
Okay, so you know what we'll do? We'll table this instead of, denying the application in case you want to come back with something else. But I think that that's really the best way to go. And if you look around in East Hampton, there are some lower gates, just like yours, automated at 4 feet, and they just are charming. Charming. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Andrew Borson and Brigitte Klein, tax map number 300-197-7-1.23, 1 Fernwood Road in Wainscott. And Michael, Andrew was on the line before.
Yes, I'll unmute that caller now.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hi, Andrew. Welcome. Esperanza.
Yes, Andrew, thank you for calling in again, and thank you for revising your submission. Andrew has come back with a proposal for a 5-foot fence along the Wainscott, I believe that's Wainscott Stone Road side of his property. That would then go around into the rear yard, and there's a section that would be at 6 feet. I believe there's a gate there. But he would landscape with green giants, about 15 of them, according to the application. And so sort of mitigate the visual pollution of that fence.
Derek, if we can see
Yeah,
survey.
I'm looking at more like 35 or 40 plants along there, actually, Esperanza. It was very difficult to plot that in, so.
Yeah, okay, I just counted what was there, so thank you.
All right, so Esperanza, say this again.
It's hard to put circles on there.
Right, so the blue line along Fernwood is what height?
5 feet, I think, according to the legend.
5 foot.
And what about on Wainscott Stone?
No, sorry, Fernwood does not have any fencing. It's Wainscott, where it says here Wainscott Road, it's Wainscott Stone Road, and that's the 5-foot fence. And then in the back, it's an abandoned road, the 2-rod highway. That's where they would go around the corner with 5 feet, and then the purple line becomes a 6-foot fence, I believe. Is that correct, Andrew?
Correct. My understanding is I don't need approval for that, but I just wanted to show you what I was looking at because it's in line with the house, and that's out of the way. Nobody could see that.
Right. And what is the design of the fence along Wainscott Hollow, Wainscott Stone Road look like?
So I submitted a couple of photos, and I've been working with my contractor, East Hampton Fence and Gate, and they're going to do a custom trim on what you suggested on top of the fence, so it's a nice clean finish. And then we would wrap that around, that would stay the same style all the way along, and then soften that fence with the green giants planted sporadically through there. Not to overscreen. I think that was the other concern that Esmeralda had last time. We don't want to overscreen the area. We just want to soften the fence and the look.
Right. And Derek, can we see what the image of the fence, please?
There's 2 images. One is the actual proposed trim, and then the second one's the how it would look.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The first one, you can see how the trim's been customized. I can't see the screen, I'm delayed, but there's a hand in the picture which shows the contractor's how he would put that trim on there, and then the second picture shows how that would look finished.
Oh, I see. So he's putting the trim on top of a stockade fence, so it doesn't look like just a stockade fence. Okay.
Yeah. And so you can't use any local shrubbery instead of the green giants?
Well, green giants they use all the time because they're deer resistant, Jonathan.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I had a long chat with Watermill Nursery, and they gave me basically in terms of what was available, especially under that area where there's a canopy and ability to grow, because there are trees there, and also deer resistant, et cetera, et cetera. The green giant was really the only option which proved to be workable.
It's the go-to screening tree out here. Well, I like that, originally this was up around the corner on Fernwood. So now the new survey is marked where it's just along Wainscott Stone Road. Is that correct, Esperanza?
I think that's right from the survey, right? Let's see.
See this original survey?
Yes.
It was around the corner. See how it goes up and around here?
And Andrew, on the survey. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that was the alternative 4 foot. It was more like, if I can't get any of this fencing in, then that would be the 4 foot that would wrap around. I never really wanted to do that, so this is the proposed. This, if accepted, would be the ideal solution. 4 foot.
Okay, so it's not on Fernwood at all. It's just along Wainscott Stone. That's
not
what
on Fernwood at all.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, just as because I'm looking at this, it's just to the corner of Wainscott Stone and Fernwood. Then there's a little 4 foot section. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Just a straight line, Betsy.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions or problems with Esperanza making a motion on this 5 foot stockade fence with a cap? Also, too, may I just say, Andrew, make sure though that cap is under the 5 foot, that it's not above 5 foot. It's not, you know what I'm saying? That this can't measure more than 5.
To the natural grade.
Right. It can't be like a 5 foot stockade fence and then you got 4 inches, of cap. Just be really clear with Michael on that.
Yes, Michael, obviously. Okay. I will make it crystal clear to him.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for working with us on this. I think if no one has any other comments, I make a motion to approve the application as submitted.
Can I get a second on that, Diane? Did we lose Diane?
Yeah,
Just
I'll
this way?
second it.
Thank you. And Chip?
Yes.
And
Sorry.
Betsy, aye. And Diane, aye.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. All right, good. Thank you, Andrew. Good luck.
Thank you, board. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to move on to extension of times. Admit Ilion and Israel Ilion. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Tax map number 300-118-1-11.3, 35 Jonathan Drive. This is in front of us for approval to extend an extension of time on an application from January 5th, 2015, with regards to approval for 8-foot deer fencing along the sides and back of the property. In the front of the property, they have a very low driveway, 4-foot gate on each part of the driveway. One goes to the house, the other one goes to their garage. It looks very nice. You don't see any of this deer fencing in front. So I'm going to make a motion to approve this extension of time. Actually, the resolution date was from 2014, my mistake. I got screwed up with that. So can I get a, so I make a motion to approve the extension of time. Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor, Diane?
Yes, aye.
Jonathan?
Sure.
Okay, and Chip?
What are we extending the time for? I mean,
They received approval in 2014 from the ARB board to put 8-foot deer fencing on the left and right and back side of their property.
And why haven't they done it?
They did. It's
They
done
did?
now. It's done now.
Oh, so we're just backdating this to, oh, I
Yes,
see.
yes. So they need an extension of time in order for us to move forward to make a
Got it.
motion on the C of O.
Got it.
So I'm going to run over to the C of O section, which is on the back page of mine. I don't know where it's on yours for the 35.
Oh, there they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
The Ilions at 35 Jonathan Drive, tax map number
Okay.
300-118-1-11.13. And this is to make a motion to approve. The work has been done per the resolution, and to advise the staff to advise the building department that it's ready for a certificate of occupancy. I'm getting a little tired, excuse me. Can I get a second on that, Jonathan?
yeah, second.
Okay,
yes.
great. And all in favor, Chip?
Aye.
Yes.
Diane, aye?
Yep.
Yes.
Aye.
And Esperanza, aye. Okay, thank you. The other extension of time is Pat Zaborski, 7 Barclay Court, tax map number 300-92-1-12.9. I went up to the property. I met with Pat, the owner, and this was a situation that in August of 2012, she had a wood fence and pedestrian gate built by East Hampton Fence and Gate, and some 8-foot deer fencing in the back. And she didn't come before the board. The owner of East Hampton Fence and Gate came before the board to get approval. And we don't really know what happened, but the resolution from our August 23, 2012 meeting, the only thing that was approved was an 8-foot high black metal wire fence. So in speaking with Pat, she was under the assumption that everything that East Hampton Gate installed was going to be part of the resolution. She never got a copy of it, or so she says that, you know, or she never got a indication that it wasn't part of the resolution. She didn't check it, obviously, and let it go. But now she's in the process of selling the home, and she wants to close out the application. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make a motion to approve the extension of time from August 23, 2012. After I do that, I want to say that I worked with her on having her cut down to 6 foot along the plane of the house, these wooden fences and gates. And once she's done doing that, she'll come back to the board to get approval for them. I will go out, take photographs of them. If we approve them, then we can move forward on her C of O. Does that make sense, David?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to approve for the extension of time for 7 Barclay Court. Can I get a second on that, Diane?
Yes, second.
All in favor, Chip,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Esperanza, and Betsy?
Yes.
Okay, and then with regards to the certificate of occupancy, we're going to table that until the work's been done to bring that into code. Okay.
Betsy, just a quick question. What, with regard to the previous one, so that resolution was 2014. How come it's just now coming to us for extension of time?
2012, yeah.
Is that?
There's no reason. The person who was representing the client is a pool guy. His name is Jason Pools, and he was out there helping them with their pool, and they were talking to him about the fencing, and there was other fencing that wasn't part of the application, so he was cleaning up a lot of stuff. And then in order to get the C of O for what we originally approved, which was there, it just took him. Who knows why people sit on things for eight years?
Yeah, okay. I was just thinking about resolutions lasting 3 years, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, well, the resolution lasted 3 years, but they haven't done anything for 8 years. And Jason, who was helping them, realized that they never got a certificate of occupancy. So he's now, representing them and trying to put this thing forward. But all the fencing is, where it's supposed to be based on what was the original survey marked. We were able to come up with what the ARB approved per the marked survey, and I was out there, and it's all in compliance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
that's good, but I have a question.
Sure.
So when we grant these extensions of times, it's my understanding now that it's for 18 months.
Right.
So if somebody runs out 5 years, 7 years, don't they have to just reapply?
That's what I'm thinking.
Well,
No,
David, why don't you explain?
The only time they can't get an extension of time is if the fee goes over $1,000, from my understanding. But other than that, they can get an extension of time, no matter how old the resolution is.
Yeah, I think it's a courtesy.
As long as the fee doesn't exceed $1,000.
Oh, it has to do with money.
The only time that there's really a basis to deny the extension of time is if there's a change in the code or the circumstances that makes it impossible to continue with what was initially approved in the old resolution. So that's really the only consideration for denying the extension of time. But I do understand what you're saying, Esperanza.
But do they have to pay a fee to apply for an extension of time?
Yes.
Yes. So they still have to, whether you pay a fee for a new application, but then you'd have to go through the whole approval again.
Okay.
Getting trained on the job.
On-job training, right?
Oh.
All right, let me just mark that approved. I approved that, okay. But I did table the last C of O for Pat Zaborski, okay.
Got it.
Issuance of certificate of occupancy, Peter Ward, 76 Thomas Avenue, Amagansett. Tax map number 300-167-5-2. Diane Benson.
Yes, I'm very happy to say I visited this property again, and Mr. Lord has completely successfully fulfilled all of our specifications on our resolution, and I hereby make a motion to instruct our staff to tell the building department it's ready for a C of O.
So they're at 6 feet, right?
Everything's at 6 feet.
Okay.
It looks really good now.
Great, okay. Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor, Chip
Yes.
and Jonathan
Yes.
and Betsy? Okay. The next one is Malachi Kelly, tax map number 300-23-5-2A, 26 Orkney Road. David, what am I doing here?
So, Betsy, I did have a chance to speak to John Jelnicki about the attorney's request as far as issuing the temporary CO with the understanding that the vegetation or the planting would be done once the season is appropriate. And we're fine with that, assuming that, you know, the other conditions are met, you know, in terms of the fencing and whatever else they had applied for in that letter. But,
all right, well, let me explain what this is. This is up on Orkney Road that back in 2016, we approved a 6-foot stockade fence around the front, and it's a corner lot, so around the front street and the corner street. And they were supposed to, at that time, do plantings to landscape in front. They didn't, and when they were, I guess, wanting to close this out, they realized that they put the fencing outside the property line. So they moved all the fencing inside the property line and wanted us to give a certificate of occupancy, but they didn't meet the approval criteria about planting. And because this is now in the winter, they're asking to give them a temporary certificate of occupancy. And is this because they're trying to sell the property? And how would that work with the temporary certificate of occupancy? Can a new buyer buy a property with a temporary C of O?
I'd have to get back to you about that, but I do understand that it lasts for 90 days. And then at that point it runs out and they have to either get another one or.
But can they sell a property with the temporary?
Betsy.
What?
By this approval would run with the land. You know, it's specific to the property. It's.
Yes, but if after the property is sold, the new owners don't, you know, it doesn't give them any impetus to come back to do that planting.
But they wouldn't get an updated CO.
Yes, that's exactly right, Esperanza.
But they already have their property. And what would give them the impetus to do that?
They can't live in it. They can't live in it.
It's because, to be honest with you, it's an eyesore up there. And then the property next to them where that little like wire fence that they saved. I don't know. I don't feel
if you prefer, we could table it, you know, instead of issuing the temporary CO. I think those are the two options.
Table.
I would recommend either tabling it or voting on the temporary CO, but it's obviously it's up to the board.
Well, how does the board feel?
You know the site better than us, but
table it.
Just table it if you feel.
Well, let's say this. It is now the end of January. In 2 months, they're going to be able to plant, right? So if we give them a temporary, it only lasts for 90 days. That means they have a small window to do it. I would rather table it and ask them, you know, they can't plant the next 2 months anyway, unless it's going to hold them up from selling the property.
Well, if it holds them up from selling the property, they can come back and try to get on the meeting before the 90 days expires and let us know.
I'd like to table this. I just feel a little uncomfortable about it. The other thing, if Madeline or Malachi are listening, on that little 4-foot fencing, they're entitled to have it. It just looks like an eyesore since the neighbor illegally put up a 6-foot white PVC fence in the front of the property. Along the side, you know, front of their property, but along the side of the driveway. That I would make a recommendation to Mr. Malachi to remove that ineffectual 4-foot wire fencing along that white fence. Okay? I'm going to table this. Conjohn 2 LLC, tax map number 300.
That's been postponed, Betsy.
What?
We're all done.
It's been postponed at Gerard Drive.
Oh, boy.
My arm was over the postponed part. All right, I'm going to make a motion to close this meeting.
All right.
7:39.
Pretty good.
Evening.
Not so bad.
Second, Esperanza.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Good work tonight.
Aye.
Thank you, Derek. And thank you, Michael.